Rocky Mountain STOL.
There are thousands of airstrips that are dirt, grass, and mud across the United States, Canada, and the world. Many of these are inaccessible to normal aircraft. There's a certain breed of pilot who wants to be able to land anywhere, either for sport or by pure necessity. They're bush pilots. We practice these skills so we can be safe off airport, so we can get into and out of the tight spots, the backcountry, and the unimproved fields. You'll now watch some of the best pilots in the world show you what they can do with as little as 50 feet. Not only can they take off and land off airport, they can take off and land anywhere.
This is the National STOL Series.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here live at Rocky Mountain STOL in Pinedale, Wyoming. I'm here joined with Eric Farewell from Remote. Eric, how are you this morning?
Brother, I'm great. It's so weird to not be in person in the beautiful Rocky Mountains, but I'm excited for a great day of flying. We've got some legends of the sport. Corey Robert himself joining us here, guys. Corey is a backcountry aviator, a true friend, and a lover of all things aviation. I'm excited to be sharing this remote stage with him from Texas right now. Corey, how's the weather? How are things looking? And how are our competitors feeling about what could be an upset in the touring class? We've got some crazy stuff happening.
You know, it's going to be a great day of practice here at Rocky Mountain STOL. The conditions are perfectly calm like you'd normally have out here in the West. Absolutely a beautiful morning, cool morning here. The pilot briefing was intense. There's a lot of newcomers to the sport. And what I mean by intense is the camaraderie, the family, the STOL family is all here. We've got all the legends, but we've also got a lot of newcomers to talk about, and I hope they come out and practice today and give us plenty to talk about, plenty to critique. We've got a lot of STOL action ahead for you. But before we get started, I want to give some love and bring some love to everybody who brings this to us, both live and in person, the whole entire crew, starting with you, Eric Farewell, and Tom and Karen, and the whole ground crew, and then our sponsors, you know, talking about people like Ladd Gardner Insurance. You know, they've been a partner of National STOL since the very beginning. Thank you to Ladd Gardner. They have excellent customer service and fantastic coverage, so please check them out. Eric, how are you feeling this morning? What are you hoping to see here at National STOL in Rocky Mount today?
You know, I think that what we're going to see is going to be very interesting. This is the first event of the series where we get to see what it really looks like to have a super high density altitude event, an event where pilots could be seeing as high as 11,000 foot density altitude today. I'm not sure what it is right now. I'm sure you can fill me in on that and tell me more about the air there. But this is what real backcountry flying really looks like, feels like. It's the real deal, guys. This is no joke backcountry flying. So, Corey, what are things looking like right now? What are we expecting from performance? Because obviously, we're not looking at 15-foot takeoffs here. We're looking at real-world backcountry, high altitude, high elevation shenanigans. What are you expecting to see yourself?
Yeah, you know, it's already 8,160 feet density altitude here. So we're definitely going to have that play into the distances. We just came from a STOL event called Sodbusters in Wisconsin, where we were basically at sea level density altitudes, and we were seeing some beautiful short distances. The only thing that's going to bring those distances today down that might play into it a little bit this afternoon as things get a little bit more rowdy is the wind. Wyoming is known for its windy afternoons. That's why we're practicing getting the whole event done here in the morning. But the density altitude is going to play into things. But the weather, the wind, as it comes up, as the temperatures warm up, the thermal convection activity heats up, it's definitely going to change the game as far as that goes as well. And the density altitude, it even just hopped up a little bit more, 8,273 feet right now. And it's only 55 degrees measured temperature at the weather station here at the airport right now. So it's a nice, cool, crisp morning. We already have high altitudes.
In the cool, in the crisp, but starting off from a high altitude and getting higher as the density altitude grows with the temperature. I love seeing 0 knots and 55 degrees. I'm envious. It was 55 degrees in Barton Springs this morning in Austin, Texas, and that's the closest to 55 I'll be seeing anytime soon, because our next event will be in the lovely and warm Nashville, Tennessee, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks. If anyone's in Nashville or in that eastern region, I've been told to expect the largest event of the season, so I'm really excited to see who all comes out. Right there we see Mr. Pohl coming out there to help set up our line judges. Lexi on the line as well. We released a nice video with Lexi last week. Let people see who she is, what she's about, and why she volunteers to go all over the country to watch these crazy pilots and even crazier airplanes perform to their best.
Yeah, and that's really a great segue. And I don't know if the booth is ready, but if they can queue up that Lexi package now, that would be a good one to play. But in the meantime, let me talk about... Yeah, we'll have that in a few minutes, but let me talk about some of these rookies, Eric. I want to talk about some of these guys that are bringing new flavor and new pizzazz to STOL. We've got Jamie Burgess here today. He's going to be flying a 1969 Cessna 182. And so as those density altitudes come up, we're probably going to see density altitudes exceeding 9,000 feet during the practice session here today. So these guys are literally taking off from the altitude that mountains, the tops of some of the mountains are today. We've got Jim Kasich in another traditional airplane, a Cessna 206. He's from Boulder, Colorado. We've got John Douglas, who also, he's a local. He's going to be a fan favorite. He's also in a certified Cessna 182. So it's going to be really fun to see these three rookies all in these certified aircraft. They're some of my favorite STOL airplanes to see come out and compete, because it's kind of follows that philosophy of bring what you have to these STOL competitions. I've seen people come and compete in Cherokee 180s. Obviously, we've seen the Cessna 182s, the 140s, the 206s. We're really excited to see that happen. But let's not leave out the experimentals. They're a lot of fun, too. We've got William Meacham as well. He is a local favorite as well, flying a Rans S7. That's a very similar aircraft to what you see one of our fan favorites, Hal Stockman, fly in Lawnmower 3. So we're going to see 4 fantastic new rookies today come out and practice. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm throwing air quotes your way because you say similar. It is the same airframe. The Rans S7 is the same airframe, but what Hal's done with his airframe is not exactly what everyday Joe might do, because that airplane is boasting a, what does they call it, a 9, 12, 15, 17-ish? Like it's
a Franken Rotax. You're absolutely right. Hal Stockman is known as the Rotax Whisperer. In addition to his other titles as the National Treasure, the most famous man on the internet that doesn't even have the internet, different things like that. We just love Hal. And, he's one of the most approachable guys on the National STOL Series circuit. So let's actually cut to a Hal Stockman interview right now.
Hal, we were just talking about that tail wheel that's not really a tail wheel. Maybe we can make it a plow or maybe drop anchor. What are you thinking?
There's always options.
In the unlimited classes, talk us about the restrictions of the aircraft classification that you're in.
I don't believe there's hardly any. Whatever you're game enough to try is good enough to go.
Now we're on the lawnmower 3. You can see it behind us. Is there plans for more lawnmowers ahead?
Yeah, I'm tinkering with another lawnmower. I'm gonna go with a Badlands Traveler Light Sport. It'll be the prototype for the Badlands Traveler. So we're gonna try to build a real light one with a Rotax. They've all been Titans so far. This one will have a Rotax and try to be lighter.
Now, we were talking with CC Pocock earlier. You said it had a little bit of financial boo-boo earlier, something about the long shaft or short shaft. What was going on with that?
When I didn't make it to Yuma, yeah, I just took off with the oil too cold and seized the engine up.
That's never good, guys. If you take off with your oil cold and you seize the engine up, what happens?
You land.
Luckily, if you practice landing enough in short takeoff and landings, you can walk away from those landings.
Well, yeah, if you fly the airplane down, you'll probably be all right. But, if you try to extend the glide too long and it falls out of the air, now you're in trouble.
Definitely in trouble. It's one of these great things that you learn more and more as you practice short takeoff and landings. Going into the competition tomorrow, how are you feeling?
The little airplane, if I can get in tune with it, it'll do good. It's me that when I can get in tune with the airplane, it does a good job, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
Well, good luck, Hal. We're looking forward to you kicking Steve's butt. I know that you got it in you.
The airplane probably does. Whether I do or not, I don't know.
We'll have to find out. Back to you, Ryan.
Oh, that is such a great piece. We have such a great team here at National STOL. And Steve Henry, like I said, probably one of the most approachable men in National STOL. And Eric, he also is demonstrating that you can do this affordably, as we're seeing Jeff Pohl come out on the line. Another piece I want to run really quickly before we watch Jeff come out and practice is a spot on one of our officials, Lexi Duncan.
So my name is Lexi Duncan. I am the official line boss of the National STOL Series. I have no idea how I worked my way into that title, but been here the whole season, so here we are. Yeah, so I'm an airport supervisor back in Virginia, and I'm a pilot myself. I fly pretty much anything I can get my hands on. Whatever's available, I'll take it. It's been so fun. I feel like our weather, the wind, has just been so tough every single time. It's always something. It's always something. It's either too much or not enough, and it's kind of hard to do a good STOL event with that. But those guys make it work, and they make it work well. I mean, it is so fun to watch. I love the rivalries. Those always give me a good time out on the line, and being on the line. I mean, I got the best seat in the house, so it's good. It's awesome. For me, if I'm pulling them up to the line, I'm looking at their mains and making sure nobody's getting too far back or too far forward, not giving up a foot or not cheating a foot. Sometimes they try. No, I'm just kidding. But, making sure they get up on the line, spot on, so that all the scoring's fair for everybody. And same thing when they land, making sure they're not landing before the line. If they're on it, great for them. But I'm calling it good, or I'm calling it a scratch, or I'm saying I don't know. Because sometimes those guys, they have so much skill in them, they'll land right on it. And sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Oh, they hate it so much. And I take it personally. I hate to see my favorite people scratch, and they do it, and it happens, and it's so painful. It's so painful to see. I hate doing it, but they get just as excited when they have a good landing. So I think it all balances out. It's okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Lexi Duncan. And speaking of Lexi, she's on the line right now. You can feel the energy building here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Eric, we're about to see one of our fan favorites take the line.
Dirty Bird, the 00, lining up Jeff Pohl from Minnesota. This gentleman and his compatriot Micah Lindstrom have been at each other's throats endlessly throughout the season, and Jeff decided to bring in some wing extensions, which it looks like he may have removed. I can't see as well as you can in person, Corey, but it looks like he may have removed the wings. You tell me.
You know, it does look like he has those wingtip extensions removed. I don't know if it's because of the long travel distance to get out here to Rocky Mountain STOL, or maybe he just wanted to feel comfortable again in a familiar aircraft. He did have longer takeoffs and landings in the last 2 events that we saw him fly, both in his home court, his home altitude. So it'll be interesting to see as he comes up on the throttle here. Just going to run up a little bit. We're waiting for the air boss to give us the go-ahead this morning. But Jeff he's been...
mind, guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead, Corey. I was just going to say that we got to keep in mind that we're going to see a different style of tactic from Jeff here. Always diving the nose toward the ground, but here rotating a bit early. Watch that extended takeoff roll.
Absolutely.
Up to our overhead camera and off the ground.
Yeah, you're seeing that density altitude of over 8,000 feet come into play. We're normally seeing Jeff Pohl rotating at about 100 to 125 feet with no wind, and that one was right at about 250 feet. Here's a beautiful Super Cub taking the line.
Is this one of our rookies?
I'm looking to see who it
gorgeous.
is. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of our rookies in the rookie class.
Trevor Walsh.
Yeah.
It's a 1954 P18 Super Cub. He's got an 0320. He's got the P-stole flaps. He's got BGs, Borer 8241. And what I love that he said, he says, he's just a working pilot and a working Cub.
That's right. And another beautiful aircraft, an Aviat Husky taking the line. Another one of our local rookie class competitors. The Huskies are a staple in the backcountry aviation world. And boy, he really rolled that long. And if I was coaching him, I would have told him that as soon as he feels that elevator come alive, he needs to be pulling and getting that angle of attack. I think he could have shortened that up by a good 50 to 60 feet right there.
I concur. On the line now, rolling out. Beautiful slant tail. Race number 75. I have to keep Googling these guys and pulling them up on our sheets because these are all new competitors. This is 56 172 Alpha. I actually had a 55 172 no line. There was no additional words there, just a straight tail 172. Seeing a 56 for the slant tail is interesting. Beautiful Husky. Again, seeing them drag that tail, rotating a bit early. Now as Karen crosses the line, they're getting the drinks out to the judges as necessary.
Yep, still getting set up this morning. Now the aircraft are in the air. And now if you look to the left, you're going to see Jeff Pohl. The winds are still dead calm here, but the density altitude is again going to be playing into effect. Now this practice session is for safety, really. It's really for these pilots to get an opportunity to assess the conditions. Jeff is now flying an aircraft that is going to perform completely different than it did at sea level. So we're going to watch him work that aircraft all the way to the line. Little short there. You can see it fell out a little bit underneath him there. Great landing, though, from Jeff Pohl there. Rolled to about 170 feet or so. Even though that was a scratch, that's about the distance that he's going to want to shoot for on that on those landings. Beautiful landing from Jeff Pohl there.
It definitely was a scratch, but it was close, almost too close to call, which is exactly what Jeff's looking for. And on review of that from the overhead camera, I think his wing extensions are on, which makes sense. I know he was talking a lot about how they may be at fault for what happened at the last 2 events where Micah properly spanked him. I mean, I hate to say it, but I also want to call him out because his performance generally is significantly better than Micah's. And what's been really wild to see is he's still doing it with his full interior installed. So he's got a weight penalty there, but that Super 170 pulling it off, man, that Super Cub is beautiful.
Yeah, that is a beautiful Super Cub. It says that he's got an R25 in the window. Let me see if I can find him on my spreadsheet.
R25 is Trevor Walsh, and that's the one who said he's just a working pilot and a working Cub, which I love that perspective. You know, these guys are out here learning to push themselves, working to make sure they get the best balance of experience in that keeps them safe. And I tell this story frequently, but I'll actually repeat it because it's about you, Corey. flying with you in Utah one day, and we were coming across a ridgeline just south of the Salt Lake City Valley. And you asked me where I would land the airplane if the engine quit. And I said, well, I'd land it down in that little valley on that road. And you said, no, you landed on the side of the hill like this. And that moment of realizing that the world of landing is so much more open to pilots who practice flying like this. It made me a much safer pilot, both for general aviation flying and for backcountry flying. Definitely challenged my way of thinking. And I'm a flatland guy from Florida living in Texas. You get this idea of what the world looks like. And when you see mountains, you think fear. But for you, you looked at the mountain and thought, hey, that'll slow me down faster and allow me to land shorter and safer. And I love that perspective.
Right. That's a great story. I wish I remembered that. I fly so much, I don't remember that one. Here we go. Another
You're coming back.
Beautiful husky.
It is beautiful, man. I'll let you keep talking.
Absolutely great landing there from Patrick Pfister here from Pinedale, Wyoming, in that beautiful red and white Husky A1. A little bit rowdy on the landing, but that's what this is for. This is for getting out and getting that experience. These guys are all going to be swapping notes this afternoon, and all the veteran pilots are going to be sharing their secrets with the rookies and getting them all squared away and up to speed. And going back to the safety aspect of it, that's one of the reasons why I actually really am a huge fan of this event, the National STOL event, because this is a classroom. This is a really good, in my opinion, a very safe environment for people to cut their teeth and really learn how to take off and land as short as possible in their aircraft. So this is a great place if you're considering learning some of these skills. If you have any interest at all in learning the safer way to operate your aircraft, please feel free to come out to a National STOL event, whether as a competitor or as a pilot or as a spectator, and come out and have fun with us.
Absolutely. And that's one of the most fun things to see is this community is so welcoming. I mean, there are grudge matches. There are the Micahs and Jeffs out there that may or may not throw down a little fist fight after the results are given. But at the heart of all of it, this is the best community of aviators I have found yet. And I've been around aviation my entire life. And speaking of someone who's been around their entire life, for far longer than my life, Hartzell Propellers, we see there on our Airboss tent, Hartzell Propellers is built on honor. They make some of the finest propellers in the world, including the one on Jeff Pohl's airplane right there. That is the Dirty Bird swinging a Hartzell prop, and man, you can hear it run.
Much better takeoff there from Jeff Pohl, that Hartzell propeller is pulling really hard. Thank you to Hartzell Propeller for sponsoring National STOL. And
it's
here
one of the cool things we get to do this year in my capacity as an owner. We wanted to find ways to get more pilots involved and to help offset their expenses. You know, obviously we're not doing this as an enterprise to make pilots wealthy by any means. We'd love that someday. We'd love more sponsors' involvement, but Hartzell stepped up big time for us and is actually allowing us to give away one of their props for a Cessna 185 at the end of the year. Each pilot who wins placement here at a National STOL event gets an opportunity for the win of this very expensive and very fine prop. So it's really a cool prize, and we can't thank them enough.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. And that does make a huge difference. If you're in the aviation industry and you want to help support some of these pilots, reach out to National STOL. Beautiful takeoff
there. If you're
there.
not in the aviation industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really was a beautiful takeoff. But I'll say this, like our sponsor that you're sitting in their trailer right now, USA Trailers Direct, not in the aviation industry, but an aviation lover, he saw an opportunity where his national company could get some exposure from National STOL. And there's usatrailersdirect.com, their website right there on the stream right now. They actually have trailer dealers all over the country. And guess what pilots have? Pilots have toys. Lots of need for trailers, including for some like Steve Henry, who has a trailer for his airplane. But that 172 on the roll now, that is just gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. And look at that, Eric. You're seeing the density altitude really play an impact in the performance of these aircraft, and also the calm wind conditions we're seeing. You know, the STOL community really likes a little bit of wind in these competitions, and we're seeing the wind just completely calm. Beautiful morning otherwise.
You say a little wind. Honestly, let's be real here. We like 30 knots right on the nose and consistent. That would be perfect for every STOL competition.
Yeah. If only every venue was Valdez and we had those very steady, constant winds in the mornings.
That would be ideal. Jeff Pohl now on approach, those big flaps hanging down. And again, I do think he still has his wingtips. I'm going to have to ask him, but it's a nice stabilized approach as we expect from Jeff. He's looking right at the left corner of his window, hanging it on the nose now, really getting back into that power bend and dropping it in just across the line.
Yeah, beautiful landing there from Jeff. Very consistent performer. Getting the blue flag from Lexi.
Blue flag means it was a scratch, so I guess I read it wrong. But that's the joy of being in the booth. We don't always see what the real world line judge sees.
Yep, absolutely. And low and to the left, really dragging it in. Trevor Walsh from Elko, Nevada. Now, this is the point where you get in the ground effect. You start to feel the cushion of that ground effect. And what I like to do is I like to ride the stall almost like a wave. I like to feel that center of the wing because I've got my airplane set up to where the center of the wing will stall first. And I can see the buffeting, or I can feel the buffeting in that center of the wing, and I kind of ride it like I'm riding a wave, like I'm surfing. And that's a very difficult skill to acquire because it does require a lot of feel, keeping your eyes outside the cockpit. You can't be watching your airspeed indicator. That's a kind of a funny thing that a lot of people like to ask these STOL pilots, hey, what speed are you coming in at? And quite honestly, I can tell you that I never, ever look at my airspeed indicator when I'm coming in for a STOL landing because that's just not the right thing to be doing.
Well, and I want to bring up something too. You mentioned the feel of the airplane. You mentioned riding the wave. I think a lot of it also comes down to how the aircraft's set up. And your airplane, for instance, is set up very differently than a lot of others, where you've changed your angle of incidence, and you change it, from my understanding, between different missions, whether you're going out for the backcountry or you're going for competition. That angle of incidence drastically changes how the approach looks to the outside view. How would you explain that to the viewers now?
Yeah, that is a very good point. You know, one of the things I did with the incidents is it's more of a visibility thing. I was finding that when I was flying with a high angle of attack, which means your tail is really low, your nose is really high, you really reduce your visibility. And so what I did to counter that a little bit is I changed the incidence, or the angle at which the wing is mounted on the fuselage, to kind of counteract that, to give me a little bit more visibility. It doesn't necessarily have a huge impact on STOL unless you need more angle of attack, but I'm also running big 35-inch bush wheels, and so angle of attack is not an issue for me. But if I was running smaller tires and I needed that little bit extra, that angle of incidence would have helped. Absolutely.
Good to think about as well. I love watching that Husky come in, dragging the tail in well ahead of the line. And that's something that our viewers should know. That is absolutely within the rules. You can drag your tail wheel across the line as long as your mains don't touch down before it. It is scored as a good landing. And a lot of pilots actually practice that. We have a couple of pilots here on the East Coast that have blown me away, dragging a tail across an entire runway and then dropping their mains right at the perfect moment.
Yeah, that's a really difficult skill to acquire, and to have that in your toolbox really means you're one of the more advanced competitors. So that is very, very cool. Travis Meyer over on social. Let's give Travis a shout out. He is one of my favorite people on the planet. He's one of the hosts of the Wayne America fly-in. Thanks for jumping on social media and giving us a comment. I actually have my Wayne America host. I have my Wayne America insulated mug that they gave me as a gift this year. It's here at Rocky Mountain. I take it with me everywhere I go now. Thanks for coming on the live.
I love mine as well, and without a question, one of the most entertaining events of our season. Talking about that high wind, those crazy reports. I think Steve Henry had a 4-foot takeoff there, which is absolutely nutty. And exactly the kind of thing that the crowd loves to see. Jeff Pohl here pulling a bit early, stuck to the ground, which is surprising given the distance because that rotation was about 100 feet further than his normal rotation point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm starting to feel the temperature come up a little bit in the trailer. So we're also going to see that density altitude come up. And so get ready for a little bit longer takeoffs from some of these competitors.
Bill Hansen on social asking what the elevation is and any headwind. Corey, your boots on the ground. You want to fill us in on the latest from the weather?
Absolutely. We have absolutely zero winds at all In fact, if anything, it's a variable wind, which kind of makes it, you'll have one takeoff long and one takeoff short because maybe one person got a little bit more favorable conditions. But it's actually still in the calm of the morning here. We really have nothing going on in the atmosphere except density altitude. It's still nice and cool here in Pinedale, Wyoming, but the density altitude is already approaching 8,200 feet.
8,200 feet. What a challenge for these pilots. And it's been discussed throughout the entire season just how important this event is and how different these airplanes will perform at this altitude. We'll see it here in practice, and we'll certainly see it tomorrow in the competition. Pilots who generally maybe have a 150-foot takeoff, maybe stretching that to double or longer. We see this 172 once again on this long rollout, rolling right past our 450-foot marker before rotation. But let's be honest here, that sounds long. But 450 feet for any aircraft is impressive, much less one you can load your entire family in, fly comfortably, and get to where you're going safely, as that 172 can do.
Absolutely. And most of the most iconic airstrips that are considered backcountry airstrips in the United States are about 1,500 to 2,000 feet long anyway. The real skill is being able to learn how to be consistently short with your aircraft. So quite honestly, you're seeing some of these Cessnas and some of these 206s and even the Cherokees taking off 300-400 feet long. Those are still remarkable numbers, and those numbers will get you safely into the backcountry. Even 1,000 feet will get you safely into a lot of these airstrips. It's just a wonderful thing to come out and learn what your limits are, what the limits of your aircraft are, and how to not exceed those, how to safely approach those limits and, enjoy scenery like this. I mean, Pinedale, Wyoming, look at the backdrop we're able to see and fly with this morning. It is absolutely gorgeous. 360-degree views, no clouds in the sky. Beautiful conditions, and we've got a Super Cub on short final. This is a great day.
It's an iconic view, man. Iconic view indeed. And this is what it's all about, guys. Getting out here, getting these new pilots, these guys who are practicing right now, a lot of them rookies, really pushing themselves, starting to get heavier into the brakes. They're stopping around the 220-foot mark. Impressive flying for sure. And we'll see more and more of that throughout the weekend. Really looking forward to tomorrow's race results. As we saw Jeff Polo a moment ago coming in, really hanging on the prop, just like this Husky, getting into that power curve right where he wants to be across the line and heavy on those brakes again.
Yeah, that's William Meekum. I don't know if it's Meacham or Meekum. I'll have to talk to him. Actually, that's not William Meekum, because that's supposed to be a Rans S7. But that's his N number on the spreadsheet. I might not have the right spreadsheet in front of me. I might have to figure that out.
The joys of spreadsheet challenges. 172 now. From the left, we've got this gorgeous 1956 A model 172. And I didn't realize they had them with swept tails in 56. So I'm learning something new today. I thought that the straight tail lasted all the way through 1959 and 60. But hey, this is what we're here for. I love airplanes and I love learning about them. Heavy under braking, maintaining that directional control with a tricycle wheel, that funny little third wheel in the wrong place. That said, I have flown a 59 172 that was converted to tail wheel, and I wish that it hadn't been because there's just not enough elevator. And I'll tell you, when you don't have enough elevator on a tail wheel, it is a bit of a challenge. We call that airplane, it was 4 Mike Bravo was the last 3, if I recall correctly. We called it 4 Mucho Bounco because without the elevator, you're gonna bounce.
That is. Now here's a good example of a high alpha, a behind the power curve approach that knows very high in the air, riding right to the edge of the envelope. Beautiful Aviat Husky there. And just a beautiful example of what you can do with the bush plane, right at the edge of the power curve. That's Patrick Pfister. He's a local here from Pinedale, Wyoming.
I wish I was a local of Pinedale, Wyoming, I must say. One of the things we see a lot of is these Huskies that consistently perform well. They're not winning any races, that not always, at least, unless you've got yourself, a young man from Kansas behind the wheel. But the reality is these airplanes are so tremendously capable what a Husky can do with their large fuel tanks and their admirable cruise speed is it becomes a great cross-country cruiser and can still get in and out of most of those backcountry strips we were talking about. They have the skill and the ability to get in and out almost anywhere and do it in style. Waiting for our next round now. Corey, who's coming out next?
I am just working out some technical issues in the booth here. It looks like our rookie class is coming out to play, though. This is either Jamie or Jim or John, one of the Cessnas. Can't really see from my angle, to be honest with you, what his end number is. Really fun to see these certified airplanes with the wheel pants off coming out to play. This is going to be a really fun round of practice. We've got certified airplanes. We've got the Rans S7 out. We got even more I'm hearing coming down the line. This is great. Looks like a beautiful Helio Courier is taxiing by. Let me take this opportunity to talk a little bit about one of my favorite sponsors, Duke Propeller. Designed in France and assembled in the USA, Duke Propellers offers a complete range of aeronautical carbon-made propellers for light sport airplanes. As the company's first North American subsidiary, Duke Propellers USA is conveniently located in Sebring Airport, Florida. Thank you, Duke Propeller. That's the propeller that Hal Stockman uses on Lawnmower 3. Very similar airplane to the Rans that we're going to see fly here in a couple of minutes.
It's actually a propeller that I have on my Kit Fox as well, and I just made the decision to upgrade from my standard Duke propeller over to Hal Stockman's Duke propeller because the beta he's able to use in STOL drag is so exceptional. And I have to say one thing about these Duke props is they use a carbon fiber hub, which massively reduces the amount of what I'll call from my car racing days, unsprung weight. I'm sure there's a proper aeronautical term, but unsprung weight is the weight you have extending from beyond that propeller shaft. And having less of it means you have a faster spin up, you have a faster response time, and you have more power. So very excited to try the new adjustable pitch Duke propeller.
Very cool. Love that. All right, and here's one of our rookie competitors. Now, this is William Meekum flying the Rans S7S. One of the most
airplanes, very capable.
Yeah, one of the most affordable aircraft you can get to cut your teeth in the backcountry, but it is not short on performance.
You know, for such a small wing, it's really remarkable what they're able to do with that airplane, especially when you start to see guys like Hal putting all the extra power and keeping the weight super low. Those aircraft are really remarkable. I mean, just think about the square footage of that wing compared to so many others, like your Carbon Cup, for instance.
Yeah. Here's Jason Brown from Eagle, Colorado in his 1958 182A. And this is an interesting aircraft. This is Mark Cameron from Alpine, Wyoming, another local, flying a 1974 Helio Courier. It's an H295 model. Watch this thing come in for a landing a few minutes ago, and it is a sight to behold.
Easily one of my favorite airplanes ever designed. Absolutely love that there's no struts impeding your view. Sounds like a beast as it goes by. What an aircraft.
Yeah, I love the Helio Courier. Beautiful takeoff. Lots of drag that big flap is creating there. Look how small the ailerons are. Just a perfect design for a backcountry airplane. All right. This,
you know, what's crazy about that airplane is there were only 500 of them ever manufactured. And it's been designed with the leading edge slats automatically deploying, having all this stuff so early. Originally developed actually in 1949. So this airplane was ahead of its time for a very long time.
Absolutely. And that's Jamie Burgess in his 1969 Cessna 182. He flew in from Cora, Wyoming. And I believe this man here is John Douglas Let me just look at the end number. Oh, he's going around.
Making a great safety call there. That's something we encourage greatly, both from our pilots and our air bosses. There's no problem ever making the decision to go around.
Absolutely. Why don't you talk a little bit about what factors would cause somebody to go around, Eric?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, we saw one just a few events ago, or 2 events ago. We saw Micah Lindstrom barely off the ground, making the call as his left wing dipped, that wing starting to begin a stall, to power up, shove the nose forward, and go around, just to keep everyone on the ground as safe as possible, as well as himself. We also might see other aircraft on the runway still ahead of the pilot. That would induce a go around. And again, our air bosses have a lifetime, literally more than my lifetime, of experience at both Southern Fun and Oshkosh. So they're watching very carefully to make sure that every one of these pilots is as safe as possible. Looks like a scratch there from our S7.
Yeah, William Meekum there coming in a little bit fast. You know, if I was coaching him, I would tell him to go ahead and bring it in a little bit slower. Go ahead and trust the airplane that it's going to go ahead and slow down. Maybe practice that at a little bit higher altitude so you can get used to the feel of the controls at slower speeds. But that was a greaser. Beautiful landing, though, from William there.
Yeah, I must admit, I'd be envious of that landing. When you see these guys who are practicing, and they're maybe a little bit short, but they make it look so easy and so smooth. I swear I'm built with a automatic bounce whenever I have a passenger or someone watching me. So I'm always envious of these guys making it look easy, just like that.
Absolutely beautiful landing.
We've got some reports from our online group saying the swept tail didn't come out until 1960. So either our information is incorrect and it's not a 1956, or some sort of interesting modification happened on that earlier 172.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. All right, now we've got 2 more aircraft still in the air. I just love watching these guys come in really slow. This looks like our Helio Courier. It's going to be about 5 minutes before he makes it to the line, so we have plenty of time to talk about one of our sponsors, FlightHelmet.com. They're a company who specializes in the sales and service of the best flight helmets you can find. Flight helmet communications equipment, flight clothing, safety and survival equipment. That Helio Courier, dragging it in low. Look at how much flap he's got. Unable to keep it in the air long enough to make it to the line. That is one of the dangers of getting in nice and low, but it's also the safest way to approach. It's the most dangerous as far as you're going to scratch. It's not a physical danger or anything like that. It's just you might touch the ground because you're so close to it. So it's from a competitive
I think this guy just likes go-arounds.
Well, a little bit close to the Helio Courier there. And so that might be a little correction, and that's why we have practices. One of the things we tell our pilots is, you know, before you turn base, make sure you have a clear approach to your landing. And so this guy might need a little bit of coaching on his approaches so that he leaves a little bit more space in front of him.
Nice to see that the locals are coming out to watch the practice today. Love that we're able to bring this event all over the country for folks to see, including the little tiny town of Pinedale, Wyoming, where people get to enjoy some of the most fantastic views and conditions, if not a little bit of a high density altitude.
And shout out to our camera operator on that beautiful long distance shot of that airplane on downwind. Just a fantastic shot.
And one thing many people don't know is that most, if not all, of our team here at National STOL are volunteers. We are come out together to enjoy the family of aviation and to record it, capture it, share it with the world, both live and in recordings. Our
Absolutely.
filmmakers there on the field are top notch. One of our guys from Louisiana, living in Florida, just drove all the way to Wyoming to capture footage for our upcoming TV show. So glad to see Brennan all the way out in Wyoming, enjoying a whole new world of aviation.
Absolutely beautiful landing there in our certified airplanes.
And as these guys start making their way back to the line, Let's talk for a moment about Lift Aviation. Lift Aviation is a company that makes some incredible products, including pilot shoes, which I never knew was a thing. Who would have thought pilot shoes would be a thing? But they are. And I have to say, I own a pair, and they are fabulous. The ability to slide your heels comfortably on your rudder pedals, especially for those of us with the little wheel in the right place, is a lovely thing indeed. And they also make what I believe are some of the prettiest dadgum helmets on the planet. And you can save $50 using, sorry, I'm reading the wrong script here, but you can check out their products at liftaviation.com. On the line, 9 Kilo Bravo.
All right, Eric, I'm joined here in the trailer with one of my favorite pilots on the STOL circuit, Mr. Jeff Pohl. And so we're going to get all those questions that we were having during his practice session answered now. Wing extensions or no?
No wing extensions. No, I'm done with them. I tried.
Yeah, it didn't work out for you. So tell me about what happened. Like, what are your thoughts on the success or the failure? I mean, this is experimentation.
Yeah, it is.
We're searching for short.
So wing extensions absolutely work.
Put the mic a little closer. There you go.
Is that better?
Better.
All right,
yeah.
my mic is closer to my mouth. The wing extensions absolutely have their place. I personally don't feel that I think they hurt me in STOL competition. The wing wanted to fly and the tail was done.
Okay.
So that's on the 170, and maybe on a 172, 175, 180s, and maybe that's a different story. I'm not sure. But I tried it for the last couple of competitions, and it cost me on takeoff and landing both. But if you're just out flying at max gross, probably even up here at Pinedale at a higher altitude, maybe I would have saw a benefit from it. But,
Okay.
For me, it's just a no-go.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like your distances increased,
Yeah.
and that opened the door a little bit this season for Micah Lindstrom to get a little bit ahead in the points race.
Yeah.
So where does that stand right now? I mean, you're here and he's not.
Yeah,
So how's
so-
that going to affect the overall season that's going to finish in a couple more events in Texas?
Yeah, so as of right now, I think he's 5 or 6 points ahead of me. He didn't show up here, so I would suspect I'll be overtaking him on points again. And, I think now that I don't have the wing extensions on, I think he's going to have to work a little harder. Don't bend metal, Micah, to beat me. Don't bend the metal.
Yeah, Micah has been known for his aggressive landing style. We watch him drop it in from several feet off the ground on a regular basis. And you guys both are super fun to watch. What is it going to take to stay competitive? Now, these 170s are becoming more and more popular. We're starting to see a lot of new up-and-comers acquire these aircraft, and they're starting to practice. So next season, we're going to probably see 2 or 3 more people join the Micah the Micah Jeff Pohl conundrum, the grudge match you guys have going. How do you feel about that?
I think the competition is good. As far as modifications and things like that, I think the best thing anyone could do is just practice, and that's where I have fallen down over the last few years. Is I really haven't until I put Wing X on, and then I practiced a lot before I took them off. So, but practice is the main thing. I've seen guys with stock 170s do some pretty amazing stuff that know their airplane really well. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's interesting to see the new competitors come out and how much fun you guys have with each other. Let's talk a little bit about the STOL family. And, one of the things I try to do for people on the internet that are not able to come and participate in person, and it's one of the most difficult things, is the community of STOL pilots. Let's talk about that for a minute.
It's really hard to explain it.
It really is.
Here. And people come to these newcomers, and they become part of a family. We go to these events because we enjoy doing this, but for me, and I think I can speak for most of the people in our STOL family, we enjoy seeing each other and hanging out and razzing each other, and even me and Micah, giving each other a hard time. I even like to see him sometimes lose, mostly, but anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a family event. Like, we're starting to see like everybody bring their kids out. You know, people are bringing their significant others out, you know, and it is truly an event, and there's something for everyone. For example, this afternoon, some of the non-pilots, you know, the wives are going to go out to a paint and wine tasting event.
I'll tell you, there are
there's
some
all
female pilots out there, though, Corey, that are like, what the heck? Like, I'm a pilot, too. I don't just paint and drink wine, but...
I totally get you, and we want those guys, we want those girls, we want all the pilots to come out and play, but there's really, the point is there's really something for everybody at these events. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes mini things that we put on to just make it an attractive family event.
At Pinedale, I'd have to say, what I've seen and experienced here, all the organization, all the different events like the painting and wine tasting, we really haven't experienced this level of hospitality at any other event. So I just have to give a shout out to the people of Pinedale that have put this on.
Check out this Helio Courier. It's
amazing.
just entertaining.
Those
Ooh,
things,
beautiful
for a
landing.
big airplane, they are incredible, aren't they?
Oh, fantastic. And
You know,
look how
you were talking
short.
about family.
Yeah.
When I was heading back up from practice, I noticed there was about 20 or 30 young children getting escorted across the airport here to come watch. That's the future of aviation. So, you know, all of us come here, and not only is it us hanging out with our STOL family, but we're also hoping to inspire the youth, because that is the future of aviation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's something that we can invite people to participate at that level. If you know of a national STOL event that's coming to an area near you, for example, we've got in Tennessee at Music City in just a couple of weeks. If you're a school teacher, we do practices on Friday. Why don't you talk to your school about bringing your kids out to a practice on Friday at Music City or in Texas or at any one of our events next year? I think that would be a fantastic field trip type of event. I don't know what it would take to do
field
that.
Trip like that as a kid?
Honestly, I think that it would have been tremendous. For me, I already love aviation. Like, yeah, I've been in love with aviation my whole life, but I see these kids' eyes light up. And they're like, wow, this is the real world, especially with the culture going more digital and the kids spending so much time on computers these days. Let's get them outside, and, you know, they can do this stuff in the real world. We're flying airplanes, man.
Yeah.
We're landing on sandbars. We're having such a great time. I mean, the events, the STOL competition, this is the fun. This is a lot of fun, but this is a small piece of what we do, and it is so fun. And so, you know, Jeff is one of the perfect guys to talk to about it, because he's just so likable and just a fun guy to hang around with. But an invitation to everybody online and also in person to come out and play with us. We have the funnest sandbox in the playground. Come out and play with us.
Corey?
Yeah, you bet.
I'm going to get off this microphone. You have fun. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you later.
Yeah, take care, brother.
Yep, bye.
All right, Eric.
Beautiful zenith on approach, man. I love seeing these things fly.
Yeah, it looks like another competitor coming in to play with us. We'll get him checked in. I'd love to see him fly. Reminds me of Justin Tisdale's Zenith. Gotta love the nose draggers coming in. Those are certainly a fun airplane to watch fly.
And to hoon around it. I mean, that airplane with it basically a lifting body design can achieve some incredible angles of attack in a safe way. It doesn't look very safe, but they sure do a great job. Here's our favorite go-around, Charlie. Welcome back to the field.
Absolutely. He's really putting it to the test today. You know, this is really fun to watch him get out here and acquire these skills. This is just going to be such a great weekend for his skill set, watching these rookies come out. So friggin' exciting. Honestly, that for me, Eric, is one of the things that puts the biggest smile on my face is when I see these newcomers come out and I see them acquiring these skills. And throughout the day today, we're going to watch these pilots tighten things up. They're going to get better and better. And it goes back to what Jeff said. You've got to practice. This is a sport. Flying is a skill that is perishable. You've got to stay current, but you've got to get some stick time and get that practice in.
Indeed you do.
Here's another fun one from the rookie class in that beautiful Rans S7. I'd love to see the contrast between his takeoff style and Hal Stockman's. Basically the same airframe, a little bit different flying style and a little bit different engine, but very, very good performance on both of these.
Lining up, ready for release. These pilots will notice very quickly how much more their consistency develops flying this type of pattern, flying this type of performance, looking at exactly that one touchdown point, really trying to dial it in. This is why we created the rookie class. We wanted these pilots to be able to step in and really feel a place of comfort and peace and not feel too much pressure as a competitor. Although there is some pressure because whoever takes the win for the rookie class tomorrow is no longer allowed to be a rookie. They have to compete in their chosen class for their aircraft at all future events, and they'll be in the hunt for that national title.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is such a great event, National STOL, in that you can compete and acquire points throughout the season. It's just a wonderful concept. It gets you engaged, and then you have something to look forward to all summer long, watching that points race. All right, here's William Meekum. Beautiful takeoff from William. His tail never touched the ground on that rotation, so he can get quite a bit more aggressive. I think he could have knocked off a good 100 feet, believe it or not, on that takeoff roll. I know that the more experienced pilots in the pits watching him are going to give him some really good feedback on his takeoff technique.
And that's one of the features of the rookie class, being able to get that feedback from the other pilots in a place that's not overly competitive. Really allows you to listen and to understand that they're there to try to serve you. So Corey mentioning that he could have pulled harder or sooner, really putting that rotation in, get the bounce off the tail, get that weight of the engine catapulted off the ground. These are all things that the more experienced pilots may do by nature, but the rookies have to learn.
Absolutely, and we're now getting into micro differences, right? Little tiny technique adjustments that shave those precious feet off of those takeoff rolls. And here we are again, the beautiful Helio, piloted by Mark Cameron.
Density altitude now reaching nearly 9,000 feet, 8,735 feet, zero wind.
Wow, that came up
love
quick. Now, we were just talking about that it was just getting to 8,200 feet, not even a half an hour, 45 minutes ago. And we're already almost over 9,000 feet in density altitude. And it's not even very warm here today. It's, gosh, it feels, I don't even think it's 70 degrees. Sometimes I catch a chill and I consider maybe putting on my jacket.
Once again, we'll share my envy. Kathy Joe saying she wishes she could be with us on the social. Great to see you, Kathy. We wish you were there as well.
Hi, Kathy. That was Jamie Burgess again in his Cessna 182. It's a 1969 model, and he's from Cora, Wyoming. I do not have any information on the spreadsheet on this, on our, we'll call him Captain Go-Around. What did you call him?
I don't remember. Something along those lines.
But he's doing a great job in his practice rounds this morning, and I hope we get to fill out some more information. I'll go talk to him after the practice rounds this afternoon, so tomorrow we'll have good information on him. All right, here's William Meekum.
I just love seeing another old green plane, as we see there, hoping to see Colin Kaniba piloting it perhaps. William rolling long this time.
Yeah, he came in a little short, had a scratch landing, so I think that he just wasn't very aggressive on his landing technique. But that's something you want to do during the competition, is you always want to come to a complete stop, because there's more than just takeoff and landing distance. There's other prizes to be had. One of the fun ones is a consistency prize. So if you average a consistent takeoff and landing roll, they average those out, and whoever has the lowest average score, the smallest differential, gets a prize at the end of the competition. So that's a real fun one as well to go after, one of those ancillary prizes that increases your skill set.
I think it's one of the most valued prizes indeed, and we've seen some pilots take it with some incredible scores, including Austin Clemens 2 years ago with a 6-foot combined differential. So only 6 feet difference total between 3 takeoffs and landings, which is just absolutely flabbergasting to me because, I mean, you're in conditions, you have winds, it's not perfect all the time, right? This is a midday event, and here he was with only a 6-foot difference between each takeoff and landing.
Absolutely fantastic.
That Helio Courier on approach now. Biggest flaps in the game. As I see him approach, it feels like he's going to fill the entire runway with those wings.
All right, here's Mark Cameron in that beautiful Helio Courier, really putting on a demonstration of his piloting skills. That is a large aircraft. A lot of people don't realize the size of this airplane until they actually stand underneath it, and you will be underneath that wing. It's pretty high up there. Beautiful airplane, and Mark really putting it through its paces. It's some of these airplanes, it's like flying heavy equipment. They're just a large airplane. So very good testament to Mark's piloting skill there. Really grateful he brought it out for us to watch his show today.
It's neat to think about. I mean, that airplane stands almost 9 feet tall. It has a wingspan of over 39 feet. It's just a behemoth, and it certainly looks it next to a lot of these smaller aircraft like that Rans S7.
Yeah.
Now, on the foreground there, seeing that Legend MOAC, it looks like some really nice equipment pulling out for the next round of practice.
Absolutely. And Jamie Burgess putting in a great landing there in his Cessna 182. I hope to see him come out and practice a little bit more today. And Eric, we did get a name on our favorite today practicing in the rookie class. In this beautiful aircraft coming in for landing now in the Cessna, his name is Brad Hoffer.
Brad Hoffer. Well, Brad has been forced to go around a few times, but again, that's all part of what we plan for. It's part of our briefing.
Absolutely.
If there's aircraft in the way, there's other challenges.
Perfect.
No problem.
Yeah, great
Nice to
landing
see.
from Brad on there. We're getting the checkered flag from Lexi Duncan, our line official. Beautiful job, Brad. Really enjoyed his practice session today. Hope he comes out and does a little bit more later on in the afternoon. Hopefully the winds kick up here in the next hour and we get some shorter takeoffs and landings. Got 2 more hours still on the live feed this morning, so stick around. Lots of really fun airplanes like this one taxiing out right now. Delta Mike. This is Luke Stradland. He is from Mora, Minnesota. He's flying a 2009 Murphy Super Moose. Very cool. I'm excited to see his performance.
This is actually a cool one because we're talking about people practicing more. I believe Luke practiced for about 5 hours at his first event in Isle, Minnesota, where he flew admirably. And he had only flown the airplane, I believe, a total of 15 hours before he had arrived. So he flew about a third of his entire experience just during that one practice event.
Yeah, these are great airplanes. I almost acquired one with a Russian radial engine on it about 10 years ago and had an opportunity to fly it. They're a great flying airplane. The owner ultimately decided to put it on amphibs instead of selling it to me, unfortunately. But they're a great airplane, super fun to watch. And they're big inside. They're also one of the larger aircraft on the series. I believe you can fit motorcycles in that cabin in there. That was one of the attractive things to me, is the cargo load carrying capability of the Murphy Moose. Just a great airplane all around.
I have 3 kids, and it's tough to find an airplane that will fit our whole family. This Moose has definitely been on the Super Rebel has been on my list for a long time, because not only is it experimental, but there's plenty of room for the entire family, plus whatever you need to play with. seeing some arrivals on the main runway now.
Yep, just a little bit of a hold. We've got the Air Boss talking on multiple frequencies. And just for you, those that are online on the live stream, if you go into the comments, there's actually an audio feed you can access that is the Air Boss frequency. So if you'd prefer to listen to those guys talk, or you want to listen to those guys simultaneously, you can pull up that feed as well. And that'll be located in the comments section in the live comments.
Or you can check out nationalstol.com/chat and find all of those links you might need.
Absolutely. There you go.
Pulling her off. It's at a high density altitude, really, really forcing them to pull later and later.
Isn't that just amazing?
Now one of our sponsors, Legend Aircraft, they make some incredible planes. And this should be some interesting performance, perhaps our best performer on the field yet today.
Yeah, and Brian Shirley brings this beautiful airplane out here, I think, just to taunt me, because he knows my favorite color is orange, and that is one absolutely gorgeous Legend Moac Cub. Brand new this year for Brian, and it is a performer. Super fun to watch. I'm really glad he made it out today. Came all the way from Dodge City, Kansas.
Speaking of airplanes, you can load the entire family, the kitchen, the sink, and everything else in. This massive aircraft has incredible performance, and the backcountry pilots always say, load it till the tail drags, then take off.
Yeah, this is Jim Kasich from Boulder, Colorado, in his 1964 Cessna 206, putting on an absolute display of what a certified airplane can do in the backcountry. So fun to watch. We actually, if you're seeing the dust, I don't know if you can see it on the camera feeds, but we're starting to see dust actually waft towards the runway. So they actually have a little bit of a tailwind right now, just a slight breeze. That's really going to increase the distances here on these takeoffs.
It makes a big difference, too, for how much it takes to get that tail flying and to really feel what the airplane's doing. And those tailwinds are nothing to mess with.
Absolutely. Another beautiful Husky on the line. Yes.
This is Keith Lang, I do believe. Oh, that's not Keith Lang. That's a Husky. What am I saying here? Goodness gracious. Similar tail numbers.
Yeah, that one was Patrick Pfister. He's one of the local fan favorites here in Pinedale, Wyoming, in his beautiful 93 Husky A1. Looks a lot like our favorite Super Cub from Alaska. And I believe he's actually on his way. Hopefully we will see Keith Lang make an appearance, both he and Colin Keneva. I've been following their story on Instagram as they make their way across Nebraska and Wyoming today to come to this event. They should be here shortly, hopefully. And here's
That's awesome to hear, because those are two of our favorite competitors. But Luke now, really high alpha, really pulling it off, getting across the line. Nice to see the performance change. This guy came in as a complete rookie just 4 weeks ago, and he has clearly been practicing.
Absolutely beautiful. One of the things you're going to see that's going to be different in Rocky Mountain STOL in this live feed today and also tomorrow when it's an actual competition is it seems like these guys are all coming in faster. And I can tell you that's one of the things that density altitude does. You have to actually move through the air faster to get that air to provide the lift. So the ground speeds are quite a bit faster today than you would see in an event like we're going to have at Music City STOL outside of Nashville here in a couple of weeks. Beautiful
Speaking
landing.
Of riding it in on the prop, fantastic performance, moving all the energy into the landing gear, letting those Acme shocks do their job. I'm assuming they're Acme shocks, but I could be wrong.
Now on those, I believe those are the Shock Monster shocks from TK1 Racing. But I got to tell you, look at that airplane. It's absolutely gorgeous. They have to be taunting me. That is it is taunting me. It is such a beautiful airplane. There's drool dripping from my lip here. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I have to admit, I like Ghost. Ghost is a great plane. Maybe Ghost needs a little brother. Just saying.
I'm shopping for another airplane right now. I think my mission is changing a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what's next for me. And, I'm thinking a fast airplane is what's going to be next for me to get to some of these events. I think I need something fast, but it's still got to be able to do some backcountry. So it's a conundrum. That doesn't necessarily equate.
Indeed. 206 now from the left. Those massive flaps.
Oh, beautiful landing. A little bit short. He's going to have to clean that up in order to put a score on the board tomorrow. But that's what these practice sessions are for. You're starting to see these pilots really get it dialed in. Beautiful landing. I mean, look at that. This runway here, he's probably about 600 feet away right there. But an absolutely doable landing at any backcountry airstrip. Absolutely fantastic. Here comes another Cessna on short final. Beautiful landing there from Brett Kobe.
Getting his brakes locked up.
Yeah, Brett Kobe actually is he's a Utah guy. This is Brett Kobe. He's a flight instructor in this aircraft. This is one of the rare airplanes that you can actually get flight instruction in, but he actually rents this out and is one of the rare rentals that he allows you to take it into the backcountry. He's got the bigger tires on there and it's fully equipped, ready to go. So if you're looking to find a backcountry instructor and an airplane where you can actually take it and land off airport, talk to that man, Brett Kobe, right there.
Love seeing that door start to fly as he's coming in at the stall point. Another Husky pilot making it look easy.
Yeah, Patrick Pfister. Really great landing there. A little bit short, but that's what the practice rounds are all about. And what I mean by short is it was a scratch.
Well, as these pilots are gearing up and we're starting to see them prepare to set back up for another round, let's talk a little bit about Sarasota Avionics. Sarasota Avionics is one of the largest installers of all Garmin flight products, and they provide many of our excellent prizes. They actually provided a bunch of stuff that each of our pilots basically gets to fight over the next 24 hours, whether it's a Garmin watch or Garmin InReach. Huge thanks to Sarasota Avionics for all they do as a one-stop shop for your next avionics upgrade.
Yeah, I really love Sarasota Avionics. They're actually who I've purchased every single headset I've ever owned has been from Sarasota Avionics. And it was by accident. They just won my business because, well, they were slightly less expensive than other people back in the day. But every year at Oshkosh, I actually make it a point to go visit Sarasota Avionics. They're a great shop. Wonderful. Thank you for your support. While we're lining up these aircraft, let's talk about another one of our sponsors. I just put them on a few minutes ago, Flying Eyes Optics. They have these great frames that are built for aviation. They slide on and off your face very, very easily. They're durable. Flying Eyes Optics. You can go to National STOL, or you can put in the coupon code National STOL next time you're in the market for some high quality eyewear. Get yourself a little bit of a discount and some free shipping with that coupon code on Flying Eyes Optics.
And I have to say, last year at Oshkosh, I bought some Flying Eyes, and they don't leave my airplane anymore because I can't stand flying without them. They are the best glasses for aviation, and their warranty is unsurpassed, which is always a great plus.
Yeah, I'm really hard on things.
Legend again.
Yeah, I'm really hard on things, and I've been super grateful for my Flying Eyes sunglasses. I'm like you. I own 3 pair. I have a pair in my car, I have a pair in my airplane, and then I have a pair in my home for taking around. I love them. That is a beautiful
Love
airplane.
to see it. It really is. It's such a good looking plane. And when you see the kind of performance he's getting, even with this nearly 9,000 foot density altitude, you can't help but kind of want to put it in your hangar.
Yeah, you every time you see a Legend airplane, you want to put it in your hangar. I'll be honest with you. They're just beautiful airplanes. And they just look cool. They've done such a great job at making it kind of like the Erector set of airplanes. There's so many different configuration options. You can actually equip a Legend Cub to go fast and travel cross country with small tires, or you can deck it out for the backcountry. There's just so many options. What a great, great aircraft. And they're one of the sponsors of National STOL, so I'm also grateful that they're supporting the events.
Absolutely. In fact, they're going to be hosting our finals of the year in Sulphur Springs, Texas. Very excited to be able to visit their factory and get to know their team a little bit better, because not only do they build Legend aircraft, these gorgeous Cubs, but they also restore some of the finest airplanes in the country. So they're a small shop. They don't do nearly as much as you'd think. When you see all these Legend aircraft at these events, you think they're building 100 of them a year. They're not. They really put a lot of time and effort into the detail of each and every one.
Yeah, I'm going to be there at Lone Star STOL. And so hopefully I'll get a little bit of stick time in one of those Legend Cubs. Who knows? We'll see. I'd love to fly one.
I can't wait to hear how it compares to what you're normally flying. It's going to be a lot of fun to get your feedback.
Absolutely. Here's Patrick Pfister in his Husky A1 right here from Pinedale, Wyoming, kicking up the dust. Oh, man. Beautiful backcountry takeoff. You know, one of the things I like to do is kind of set the stage. Let's imagine that we're flying into a meadow, and that meadow is 700 feet long. And here we go. We've got this man on approach in his beautiful big airplane. Which one is this? I'm having a hard time seeing it. Oh, this has got to be the Murphy Super Moose. This is Luke Stradlin.
It is indeed.
He's bringing his airplane into a beautiful meadow. He's going to lay out a blanket with his sweetheart, and he's going to have the best picnic ever under the wing of that Murphy Super Moose. And he brought it in gently. What a beautiful day.
And I'm just going to correct you briefly, because it's actually not a moose. It's a Rebel. And I think the distinction there is the difference is the engine, the Moose being the radial and the Rebel being that flat six.
Oh, good to know.
Somebody's got to get it right. And I happen to have the right spreadsheet, so I was able to figure it out.
Yeah, mine just says Murphy Super, and it doesn't have anything after. I was assuming it was a moose, but I love the Rebel. That's a great airplane.
Look at this guy dragging it in, really getting high alpha, getting that nose up. That couldn't have been a smoother landing if he tried.
Absolutely a great one. One of our shortest landings of the day. He could have stopped that in the area of about 220 feet. That is a fantastic landing in any airplane. But at this density altitude, as we approach 9,000 feet, 220 feet is nothing at all to shake a stick at.
Fantastic performance. It looks like he's wearing your sunglasses as well, so I do think he's got something in it against you, Corey, trying to get you to spend some money this weekend.
It would be a good investment. Those are great airplanes. That's one of the things I was actually having a conversation about with somebody this last week is aviation right now is probably one of the best places to put your money. If you're looking at, if you need a capital acquisition, aircraft right now are just going nuts. It's just such a fun industry right now to be a part of. Beautiful.
And especially backcountry aviation, we start to look at these companies like Cub Crafters and the number of airplanes they're producing. And this number is not correct, but my understanding is that they produced more Carbon Cubs last year than Cessna produced single-engine piston aircraft, which is pretty astonishing to think about.
Yeah, wow, that is an amazing thing to think about, actually. I love that. Why not? I'm just thinking about Jim Kasich in that big 206, and I'm just thinking about his, you got your whole family in the back of there, and you want to go on vacation to maybe an island destination, or maybe the iconic locations here in Wyoming. Just load it up, man. Those things are amazing.
Perfect form here. He did get pretty far past the line before he touched down, but we saw those flaps start to zip back up. We saw him keeping the stick as far back as he could. Nice control.
Yeah, Brett Kobe's a great pilot. He's the one I was talking about that's a backcountry flight instructor in that airplane. He's definitely got the chops for this. That's why they put him in the backcountry class. He's not going to compete as a rookie. He knows what he's doing. And I think this is, again, one of our local favorites.
Red and white husky going high alpha, really pulling the nose. We saw him earlier dragging the tail before the line, and there he nearly lost that left wing. You saw how the left wing started to dip, just got a little slow, so he gave it up, dropped it in before the line. Totally safe.
Absolutely. Good pilot control demonstration there by Patrick Pfister.
Hometown boys know how this air feels. They know what to expect. They definitely have a bit of an advantage over some of these lower country pilots. I'll never forget, Corey, when you first came to Virginia, we were hanging out there when you were learning to fly paramotors with us, and your reaction to how Ghost flew in all that thick air is just a different experience.
Absolutely. Whenever I take my airplane down to the lower altitudes, like this kind of flying, this is my wheelhouse. This is the kind of flying I do on a regular basis in my Super Cub. And when I take it down to the pea soup, down to lower altitudes, it's definitely a different airplane. And I get to see what everybody else is talking about when they're flying at sea level. It's really an amazing performing airplane. Definitely a different machine down at lower altitudes.
No doubt. As a Florida boy myself, when I go up to Utah or Wyoming, I feel like I can barely breathe, much less my aircraft.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, the air gets remarkably thinner at higher altitudes, and your airplane starts talking to you about it. It definitely will tell you the whole story, and it's going to show the distances in this competition are going to be longer, much longer than in other competitions. And I think that's a fun element. I'm really happy to see more and more events pop up out here in the West where there's high altitudes to play with. It's a very good way to get involved in this type of flying in a safe way.
It is indeed, and this is exactly what National STOL is all about. It's this opportunity for pilots to push themselves in a really safe, constrained area and keep things as safe as possible. Once again on the roll, that Super Rebel, Luke from Minnesota.
Yeah, Luke Stradlin making it look easy. Beautiful takeoff there.
An interesting performance differential between him and the 206, who seems to be struggling a bit more. Similar aircraft, but obviously not the same. And quite the conga line there on the incoming runway.
Yeah, everybody wants to get in on this practice action today. The Legend Cub, the Moac, the mother of all Cubs.
Pulling a bit early there and sacrificing probably 150 feet. Great to see John Caldwell, fellow paramotor pilot and aircraft pilot from Texas, enjoying the show. And he does need to get out here and make one of these events. Our next event that you should definitely attend is Music City STOL in Nashville, or if you have to wait for Lone Star, we'd love to see you in Sulphur Springs, Texas.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us online. Sure appreciate you watching. Absolutely so much fun watching these certified airplanes get out here. And these are really, we're watching these takeoff runs go really long. But keep in mind, these are still planes that are taking off sub 600 feet. This is an amazing demonstration of, we're at 9,000 feet density altitude right now here. This is amazing.
Yeah, when you start to see 9,000 as your density altitude, you have to realize that they're basically running at least twice as far as they would be at sea level, right? So these guys are really pushing the aircraft as much as they possibly can, flying in ground effect right there, pushing the nose forward, building the speed before working into that climb, keeping the flaps in. Love to see these safe calls from these pilots. One of the questions we frequently get from our viewers online and in person is how the heck do we judge this thing? And what you'll see out there tomorrow is a lot of line judges, fellow pilots who are flying in different classes will be on the field watching for where the main gear gets off the ground or stops. And they'll actually be relaying that information via our Rugged Radios. Rugged Radios is one of the sponsors of National STOL, and they create these awesome radios that can operate across a whole wide band of frequencies. And Rugged then it transmits that information over to our booth, our production trailer, where it's all tabulated, calculated, and put into our scoring system. And that scoring system allows not only our broadcast team to know the results, but you right there in the audience. If you are in person or online, you can find all the information there at nationalstol.com/scoring or /results. I'm going to have to look that up to remember which one it is exactly, but it's great to be able to follow along live and know exactly how your favorite pilot is doing.
Absolutely.
And it is scoring.
Absolutely. Look at this beautiful approach by the Legend Cub. Oh, fantastic. We got the blue flag on that one, so he's pushing hard. What he's really trying to do is figure out where that stall is going to break. It's one of the things that is in a big point of debate in STOL competitions. Do you wait for the wing to stall, or do you dump the flaps and force it onto the ground? Me personally, I like to stall. I like to do a full stall. I like that wing to be done. And so I really work hard when I'm in competition mode to really get that down. So if I was competing tomorrow, I would probably be flying for a couple of hours today in practice, really dialing it in for this altitude and for these conditions. And that's what a lot of these guys are doing.
And it may be a debate between pilots about which method is the best or the safest or the strongest, but I agree with you, really getting the airplane dialed in the conditions where you are right now. And I know that, guys, it currently says Hartford on the weather. We're not in Hartford, Wisconsin anymore. The weather is coming from Pinedale. We have a really cool system right on top of our production trailer that measures that weather. I mean, as live as it can be. It's moment to moment. You see it changing 1 knot, 2 knots, and that is from right there in Pinedale, Wyoming.
Absolutely. And Jim Kasich there in his big 206 doing a great job on his landing. He took off and landed in just about the same distance, maybe even shaved a little bit off on his landing. But, I mean, we're watching a big, heavy 206 put in some great numbers. So this is really fun to watch.
It is indeed. And I love seeing the crowd start to grow there in Pinedale. So we just see more and more people coming out from the town. We want to thank everyone there, but from our hosts to every member of the community who's out here enjoying this. Thank you guys all for being such great hosts and being so willing to share your town and show it off for us. All these pilots coming from all over the country. It's a unique opportunity to see life in a different place. So thank you very much. Husky now on approach.
Absolutely.
We've seen some big high alpha moves from him before. See how stabilized he gets early on now as that wind just dropped out completely. 0 knots on the nose.
Yeah, the local crowd really is looking for him to do well this weekend, and he's putting in the practice work. One of the things that I like to watch that really gives you an indication of how hard these pilots are working in these cockpits is the tail surfaces, both on rollout and on short final. You can watch that elevator. You can see them really working the pitch controls, and that rudder is going to be working very hard on these as well. Just super fun to watch these guys come back around.
Nice to see our weather bug is updated. Our production crew, Tom Flannery, always doing a great job in there, making sure things are correct and working. Density altitude 8,800 feet now. And the crowd has probably increased by 10-fold since the last time we got a crowd shot. Love to see it, guys. If you're out there, give a wave to our camera on top of the trailer. We can see you right now. There we are. All right, we saw you. Nice to see everybody there. STOL Rover with a great question for you, Corey. Do you have to start as a rookie, or is there an evaluation process?
You know, Eric, I think you might be the better person to answer that question. You know, here's the deal. Like, this is more of an opinion, and I'll let Eric tell you about the rules. If I was to come to a National STOL event, even with backcountry experience, I would compete in the rookie class. I just would, because you have a unique opportunity to participate with no pressure. You can come and have a great time and go through that process. And so, quite honestly, if I were you and I had never competed in a STOL event before, I would take advantage of the rookie class, because they've got it set up, and a lot of the more advanced pilots will coach you. But if you already have skills that you want to bring to the table, I still would probably compete in the rookie class if it was available to me. If I had no experience in a competition, doesn't matter how much experience I have in the backcountry, I personally would come on as a rookie. That's just me. How about you, Eric? What would you do? Oh, that beautiful epic aircraft. I don't think you could see it on the cameras, but that's why we're holding here for a minute, is for an arrival. I just saw an epic go by. It was beautiful.
I love this epic. Absolutely.
I think coming into a national STOL as someone who's already practiced STOL before, and you've had some experience at other events, I think coming into your class is totally fine. If you are someone who's brand new, that rookie class is there to keep you safe and to have the other pilots help you every step of the way. Not that they wouldn't as competitors, but it certainly amplifies the level of education that you'll get knowing that you're a rookie. So I think there's definitely a place for both sides. We've seen pilots come in from as far away as Maine, for instance, who had experience in local events, local STOL events, and they were happy to jump right in and compete. But others, this rookie class is designed to help you stay safer and make better decisions.
All right, Lexi's lining up the next pilot.
Listen to that thing howl. Speaking of howling, we got to talk about McFarland and MT Props. Just want to say a huge thank you for all of their help and assistance throughout the season. A lot of our pilots choose MT propellers. They're excellent in every way.
All right, pulling up to the line in our Bush class. This is Brett Kobe. This is a 1956 Cessna 172A. Now, was this the one that was a little bit of controversy online? Somebody said that swept tail didn't come out until the 60s?
Correct. My knowledge was 1960 was the first year of the swept tail, and it was confirmed by someone else. I'm going to do a little more research here and see if we can figure out who this actually is or what the year of it is, because I don't think it can be a 56 unless somehow they did a tail transplant. But based upon the information available to me on this great thing called the internet, let's see here. It is a 1959 172 Alpha. Okay. So 1959, according to the internet.
Excellent.
And now it's corrected on our spreadsheet so we can stop making fools of ourselves. But the Super Rebel on approach from your left, watch as he gets deeper into the flaps and starts to pull the nose up, feeling that ground effect. All the way from Minnesota. Look at that tail start to drop, working his way across the line. Admirable effort there.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Somewhere in the neighborhood, I think if he wanted to get it stopped, I think he could have stopped shy of that 450-foot sign out there. But just a great performance. You know, one of the things I would tell him, though, is, come to a complete stop every time. Practice the way you compete. That's one of the things I try to do. I try to stay as consistent as possible in my technique. So my muscle memory is just there.
I couldn't agree more. We see that mistake over and over again where pilots may have a poor landing and they choose not to stop and just taxi off the field. And not only does it affect that most consistent award, but it also affects their Pilot Performance Index award. So that's a whole system we've created where the aircraft you're flying doesn't matter as much as how you're flying compared to yourself, how you're flying today versus last year. And that information can get wildly affected by choosing to power up and run off the runway because you're annoyed at scratching or you're annoyed at something going wrong. It's very important to stay consistent and to get that full, complete stop in order to be considered for either of those awards.
Okay, well, as we watch the arrival of this big, beautiful aircraft, we're going to actually take a little bit of a break and go to a few commercials. We'll be right back.
Commercial time.
Actually, we're going to watch this last airplane come in, and then we'll have a break.
You're teasing us. You're teasing us, Corey.
That's what I do. We got 2 more airplanes, it looks like, coming in. We'll let both of the airplanes come in. I want to see them both. I'm sure our audience wants to see it as well before we take a little bit of a break while we have a break in the action. We've got some really good clips to show you, though, so stick around.
And I want to encourage everyone who's live there in Pinedale, please take a moment during this quick intermission period and head over to our merch tent. It's the smaller National STOL tent. Check out our t-shirts made just for this event, as well as our series shirts, hats, etc. It should be a perfect day for a big sunny hat, and we'd love to have you check them out.
Absolutely. It is sunny today, and I'm going to second what Eric said about the merch tent. What I did is I dropped off a stack of my custom stickers that I made for this season. And I told them that if you make any National STOL purchase, to throw in one of those decals. And so I brought that in today. So go to the merch tent and ask them for that special. Pick up a free Corey Robin Flying Wild decal to go on your toolbox or your airplane or wherever. It's kind of fun. Beautiful A1
I have
Husky.
one of them on my toolbox, man. That's one of my favorite stickers I have. You gotta collect them all too, because every year it gets better and better.
Oh, Patrick Pfister, they're really working hard to get that landing past the line. Just was unable to get it done. He's going to correct that for tomorrow. I'm really impressed with what Patrick has brought to the table here in Pinedale. It's going to be really fun to watch him ring it out. Well, that's the first round of practice this morning. Let's take a brief recess. We'll play a few commercials, and we will be right back with more STOL action, National STOL Series, here in Pinedale, Wyoming at Rocky Mountain STOL.
I got that right turn. We're good.
Meet up at the compound group up.
At 10-4. Yeah, for sure, dog. Good, little driver. Straight on through.
At Aerolids, we believe that innovation is equal parts inspiration and perspiration. Since our inception in 2006, we embarked on a mission to redefine the expectations of aerospace lighting. Entering the aerospace lighting market, which had remained largely unchanged for 50 years and in drastic need of a new product with fresh look and unequaled performance, Aeroleds was inspired to redefine the expectations, which resulted in a series of innovative designs. Hungry for new ideas, backed by a company that valued the patronage, customers quickly adopted the new standard of quality, design, and performance never seen before in the industry. Over the past 12 years, Aeroled's installation, ranging from the experimental and 23 markets up to the space and military applications, with over 15 tactical military platforms featuring products in both overt and covert operations. Aeroleds continues to lead the industry in design, reliability, and unsurpassed performance. Unique in its presence and unmatched in its perseverance, Aeroleds serves the aviation market from one spectrum to the next. From you to you too, Aeroleds is redefining the expectations.
When it's time to recover and paint your fabric-covered aircraft, look no further than AirTech Coatings. Since 1982, our FAA-approved system provides you with a shiny, durable, easy-to-apply product. The AirTech system has fewer steps than any other product on the market today, saving you both time and money. While using cutting-edge technology, we offer a wide range of products. Whether it's for work, play, antique, or aerobatic, we have you covered. Remember, we make paint fly.
All right, we're back, and we have some amazing STOL action going on right here in front of you. We're starting to see some of the more advanced competitors come out, along with even more newcomers.
Love seeing the grandstand starting to fill in.
Absolutely.
That drop of the mountain. It's awesome. This is what we're here for. Now, Corey, I can't see who's coming out. Any highlights for us? Obviously, this beautiful Husky now on the screen.
Well, let me pull up some data for you. So this Husky is piloted by Andrew Jones. He's a local here, Pinedale, Wyoming. That's a beautiful airplane. It's a 2014 A1 Aviat Husky. They're made right here in Wyoming, just a hop, skip, and a jump away here from Pinedale. So this is not just a local pilot. This is a local airplane manufactured right here in the beautiful state of Wyoming.
One of the things I love about Huskies is they truly are timeless. I mean, their design, that could be a 1993, it could be a 2023. It doesn't matter. It's just going to have that nice, luxurious feel. Every pilot I know that owns a Husky is adamant that it is the best daggum airplane in the world. Kind of like those of us with RVs. We believe that they're the best too.
Yeah, love what you have, but they're a very refined airplane, fantastic. One of the best factory tours of any airplane manufacturer. And wow, what a great takeoff there. Andrew Jones coming out to play. Love it.
And honestly, pulling at exactly the right moment, getting all that inertia down into the tail, bouncing the nose off the ground, just like you want to do. Those are the goals, right? Nice little sticker collection here.
Yeah. This is Joel Milloway. Very unique tiger paint job on his Rans S7. I love the look of that airplane, and Joel puts on a great performance. Really excited to have him on the tour and have him come out to Wyoming here today.
This looks like Rick Boardman.
Yeah, Rick Boardman and his Cub Crafters Carbon Cub SS with the cargo pod.
Man, Rick pulling a little early there. Rick used to the lower elevations, but I have to say we've seen such incredible performances from Rick that it's been admirable to say the least. So keep your eyes on him. He claims that belly pod gives him a significant bump in performance, and we have seen him just blow others away in his class.
Yeah, Rick has come to compete today. He's looking for some points in the series. And Rick is a skilled competitor. I watched one of his takeoffs a few minutes ago and landings a few minutes ago, and he's coming in really, really short. And so we're looking for some good things from him.
Kit Fox Model 4 here.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is Kyle Patterson in what he lovingly calls the Electric Fox.
I was very annoyed when I found out it was not electric. It is powered by a Rotax 912S.
Yeah, what's the story there on the Electric Fox name? Do you know it?
You know, I don't, and I really should. It's one of those stories that I see him at enough events. We should have had this conversation, but it just has never come up for some reason.
I'll get the bait on it for tomorrow. I got this.
Good man, good man. Beautiful Husky now on arrival. Start looking at his angle of attack, start looking for that tail to start dropping down, nose to start going higher. Again, letting the flaps do the work. Carrying the energy and trying to translate it into the ground right there with a slight bounce. Full aft stick now and heavy into the brakes.
Yeah, really great performance there. Love to see that.
I just think that's a pretty airplane, man. I really do.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one.
This should be our Tiger Stripes S7.
Yeah, you know, and I'm really
His
impressed.
engine sounded angry.
Really impressed with that landing from Andrew Jones. That's definitely the shortest Husky landing we've seen today so far.
And just to make sure that we can't claim wind, our production team's showing us the weather there. 1 to 2 knots. Basically nothing. Ooh, down early.
Yeah, a little bit of a scratch there, but that's no problem. He's in practice mode. Still a fantastic landing. Joel just really going to work it out. There's some density altitude, but he is no stranger to it coming from Idaho. Definitely a skilled competitor. Knows what it's like flying in the high density altitudes. And look at Rick Boardman hanging it on that propeller. Beautiful landing performance here from Rick. Wow, that
Absolutely.
was fantastic.
This is picture perfect, exactly what you want to do. You've got that nose high, you're translating all the energy into the gear as you come into land. You know, that stops that forward momentum so much more quickly. And those are really a testament to not only Rick's skill, but also the slats, the setup of the aircraft. That airplane is built for this, and he is doing an incredible job with it.
And this is Jamie Burgess again, putting in even more practice time. We've seen Jamie put in, you know, probably about 10 landings already, but he is not done. Hungry
Is good. The more practice, the better. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. And from our sport class, the Kit Fox Model 4 making his way. Kyle Patterson coming from Torrington, Wyoming. So he's also very familiar with these high density altitudes. I expect good things from Kyle this weekend.
And Kyle's also a STOL drag competitor, and you got to keep in mind that he doesn't have the advantage of flaps, but he does have flapper-on, so keep an eye on the trailing edge of his wing.
Perfect, just past the line there. So you can see there's just not a lot of aerodynamic braking going on here, so he rolled way longer than he normally rolls there. And I think that's just a testament to how the density altitude is really playing a factor in today's practice rounds. But it's really good. We really need to ring those airplanes out. Let me go ahead and get an update here on the density altitude. 9,022 feet right now is what our current density altitude, and it's only 68 degrees. We're expecting a high of about 75, so we're gonna come up a little bit more in the density altitudes even today during our practice rounds.
And that's going to change things quite a bit as these pilots start having to toy with this 9,000, 10,000 foot density altitude, this is nothing to scoff at. As an East Coast pilot starting to think about flying at those elevations, I know how slow my climb rate is over 10,000 feet, and it's very, very slow, even in my RB6.
Yeah, and these guys are taking off at this altitude. So here we go. Andrew Jones, our local favorite. Absolutely perfect. Maybe even a smidge late, but I'm going to leave it to Andrew there. That was a fantastic takeoff. I'm looking at the line judges that we have out now, and they're standing at about the 230-foot mark. That is a great takeoff for 9,000 feet.
Not only that, but that's a great takeoff for a Husky at sea level.
Absolutely.
Seeing those kind of numbers is exceptional.
Yeah, and Joe Milloway there at about 180-foot takeoff roll there. Fantastic.
Rick Boardman now taking the line.
Absolutely.
Ripping it off the ground.
Like every single Rick Boardman takeoff seems to be a carbon copy of one another. They're always short. They're always beautiful. He's got the technique down. He's patient with the engine. He lets it come up to speed before he releases the brakes. These are all skills that if you're in the rookie class, you want to watch.
And that consistency has paid off for Rick over and over again throughout our series this year.
Yeah, and here's Jamie flying that 182. Off nice and short, that one. That was a great takeoff in that 182.
Yes, indeed. The Electric Fox with its iconic round cowl, Model 4. He's rocking some Behringer brakes, looks like Shock Monster gear, and potentially tail wheel as well. It's basically the same setup I have, except with a slick cowl.
Little conservative approach on the takeoff there from Kyle Patterson. I think the winds are starting to pick up just a little bit. I'm starting to detect a little bit of a headwind now, which is going to be favorable to our pilots. And in the adventure class, or excuse me, the bush class, this is Andrew Jones. Wow, what a great landing from Andrew Jones just past the line, rolling it into I'd say about a 230-foot landing. Wow, that is great. He'll be happy with that one.
Better than that. Indeed. And just the 2 knots of wind there, we start difference in how these pilots' performance is. And not only that, but they're going to just feel more comfortable when you're trying to keep the airplane off the ground. Having that little bit of a headwind really just makes everything feel more solid.
Absolutely. Now here's Joe Milloway. We're seeing 2 completely different aircraft now. This one's about 800 pounds lighter than that Husky. And so let's see if he's able to get this thing in really, really short. Absolutely beautiful landing there. Locking those brakes up, keeping the tail high. Great landing. Little bit shorter than the Husky. Very fun one to watch. Joe Milloway from Idaho in the Tiger, the Rans S7.
I think we have to call that one the Tiger Shark, given the mouth on his nose, right?
It does look, it's kind of fun. Rick Boardman here, high alpha, putting on a display of those slats, working hard. Oh, beautiful. Wow.
Exactly what you want to do for Rick. That is fabulous control.
Holy cow, ladies and gentlemen. How do you feel about that one from Rick Boardman? Absolutely beautiful landing.
Seeing this approach makes me think of Brandon Korn, gets me excited for the heavies.
Yep, Jamie Burgess here, really putting his skills to the test at Rocky Mountain STOL. Wow! Oh, just short. Oh, what a bummer. Heartbreaker for Jamie there. Beautiful piloting skill, though. really getting it done. This is one of our rookie class competitors, so I'm really excited. I really, when I see people come to the table with such good skills, nailing that line like that, that was really close. He was really working hard for that. I'm excited to see his future in STOL. It's just going to be really fun to watch.
Could not agree more. And with just an hour and 5 minutes left of practice today, let's talk some about what we can expect tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to see some top names. We've got Hal Stockman and Steve Henry, these two guys who are legends of STOL, battling it out in the unlimited class. We've got some other guys who are really working hard in the points this year. Guys like Brandon Korn, who has it in for Warren Grobelar. Warren not making the trip for this event or the last one creates a huge opportunity for Brandon to take home that touring trophy here at the end of the year. And he'll have some competition this weekend, though, as more and more of these heavier aircraft are starting to taxi out. We're getting some idea of what might be the challenges for Brandon. I'm very excited for tomorrow. I think we're going to have a great, great event.
Yeah, me too. Just watching Kyle Patterson put in the paces today this morning. He's here. He's kind of local almost. Torrington, Wyoming, not too far away. He's on the other side of the state, though, a little bit lower altitude. So maybe the density altitude is going to be a factor for him. But I do hear, I think behind me, Hal Stockman's engine. There it is. There's Hal Stockman. And here's the man you were just talking about, Mr. Brandon Korn. He is one of my favorite competitors because it's just amazing to watch how he's able to fly this Cessna 205. This is it's a beautiful Cessna, and it is heavy, but it does not fly like it's heavy with Brandon Korn at the controls. He has really brought something special to the competition today. I'm just watching. There's a 185 on short final, just slipping it like he's riding on a banana peel. Beautiful.
Love to see it. Great, just a little shout out here to Brennan Thomas, who's back there turning on cameras for Brandon Korn. We're trying to capture this from every angle possible. Make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube. That's youtube.com/National STOL. You'll be able to see more and more content of the behind the scenes, who these guys really are, what they do at home, what their lives are like, and it creates some really interesting stories. It's really exciting to see all of these heroes of STOL start to come out of their shell and share what they're all about, because some of their stories are absolutely inspiring and incredible. Guys like Justin Tisdale, what they've overcome to get to this point and to continue to fly and to get to share their passion for aviation with the world right here at National STOL.
Absolutely, Eric. And I get so excited when I hear that we're starting to put in time to allow us as fans to get to know these pilots and the competitors. We get to know the airplanes very well, but it's also really nice to know the pilots that are behind it and to tell their stories. And I got to tell you, if you have any interest at all, I really encourage you to try and come out for one of these events. It's just so much fun. I personally just love the heck out of it. Here's Brandon Korn. We're starting to get word from the air boss that the action is going to continue. So Lexi Duncan waving him up to the line. Here's Brandon Korn. Oh, yeah, baby.
On the roll with his big flaps already down. One of his disadvantages is there's electric flaps. Do not allow him to streamline the aircraft until he's ready for flaps. But he pulls early, dragging the tail, that McFarlane tail skid doing its job. Wow.
You could tell he really wanted to be off before that last 450-foot sign, so he was working hard. I don't know if he made it or not, but it looked close. That was fantastic.
And just for perspective of the altitude and the lack of wind, we've seen Brandon off the ground in sub 100 feet, which was just mind-blowing. But that's the difference between low altitude and high altitude, low wind and high wind.
Yeah, and that was Brad Hoffer in his Cessna. And up here on the line, one of my close friends and your crowd favorite, the national treasure, Hal Stockman in Lawnmower 3.
Tail wheel removed. Doesn't need that anymore. Here we go. Wait for the rotation. There she comes and flying it right off the ground. Beautiful.
Hal's takeoff like he's giving a kid a ride. He really did not try at all to land or take off short on that one, because we know he works really hard in that cockpit. So I think he's more focused on his landing performance on this round of competition. That's one of the things I noticed that some of these pilots do. They'll emphasize one thing that they want to work on during these practice sessions, and that's also a very good thing to do with your focus. Wow, he's really got his motor wrapped up, doesn't he, Eric?
He does indeed, and I'm trying to see it from the side. It looks like it was an Apex, but I believe it's a Rotex. I could be mistaken. What an incredible sounding aircraft.
Yeah, he really had that wrapped up. Super fun to watch. Now here, is this a lawnmower? Is this an early Hal Stockman airplane?
I believe this is Lawnmower 2. If I recall correctly, this gentleman actually competed with us in Yuma, Arizona earlier this year, and I believe this is
Joe Eiling.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
It's good to see Joe again. I met him for the first time in Yuma, Arizona this early summer in the spring. He is loving flying around that airplane, just has a ball with it. It's really good to see him bring it up here to Wyoming.
One of my favorite things about that is he somehow thought we weren't going to figure it out. He somehow thought that we didn't know from the sound of that all-white Rans S7 that was a Hal Stockman special. It took about 15 seconds for us to go, we have to look this up. I'm pretty sure that's a lawnmower. And once you hear the engine, you can tell there's just something different about Rotexes that Hal touches.
Yeah, he is definitely a skilled mechanic as well as a pilot. Now watch, let's see Brandon Korn. Different technique. He's coming in. He's going to utilize that landing gear to absorb a lot of that energy with that high altitude landing, but beautiful.
Brandon struggled over the last season. Yeah, he gave up a lot, and this is the area where he feels like he struggles the most. He's got the takeoff dialed in, and he really has had a tough time deciding whether he wants to make these lower approaches or the higher ones, really utilizing the flaps. And, Brandon's my neighbor. He lives just a few hours from me here in Texas, and we talk a lot about the different techniques and styles of what he could be doing differently. And he knows that he has to get this dialed in. He has to get that energy management under control to a point where he's comfortable and confident. And I know that he'll be very frustrated with that landing performance.
Yeah, whenever you try something new, it definitely does play with you a little bit. I'm really excited that though he's trying these different techniques and skills. Personally, I like to drag it in on power because I don't like how my wing drops on my airplane. But I have actually had my shortest landings coming in a little bit more steep and allowing the wheels and the suspension to take some of that energy and relieve the braking a little bit. Here's Hal Stockman on his final approach. He's getting it really, really slow. The winds are basically completely died down right now. I'm not feeling anything. I'm looking at the grass along the ground. I don't see any movement at all. Let's see what he can do.
Safely across the line. Notice that engine stopping. That's a Stockman special right there. He expects it. Absolutely no concerns about any static thrust pulling him forward. He gets it stopped very, very nicely.
Absolutely. It's really fun to watch Hal put it through the paces.
That airplane has a ginormous propeller on it. I'm going to have to do some more research on what aircraft this is. I see W92 on the side. We'll do some research here for you guys because I want to bring you as much data as I can. Looks like that is Joseph Card flying a Kit Fox Model 7. And if I recall correctly, he does have the STI wing. I'll have to find out more information for you in our interim here. But check out that Lawnmower 2 on approach now. Very similar approach to what we saw from Hal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun watching Joe fly. He's just an enthusiast. I shook his hand at breakfast this morning, and I remembered the face, but I didn't remember who he was. But as soon as he reminded me, it was like we were brothers again. Just a really great guy. Just a happy to be a part of the community, and just so much fun to watch him bring Hal's old airplane out. Honestly, I've flown to Oshkosh so many times with Hal. It's like I have a relationship, a bond somehow with his airplanes, because I've actually seen him have an engine failure in that airplane. I have seen him have an engine failure in Lawnmower 3, and it's like a non-issue. It's so much fun.
He's probably one of the only guys in the world who can make an engine failure a non-issue. It's actually pretty humorous to think about the fact that most pilots, that's their greatest fear. And for Hal, because of the way he trains, because of the way he flies, because of his level of knowledge and experience, it is genuinely a non-issue.
Yeah, it's so much fun to see. And that's one of the things. Another thing I love about STOL flying is it changes your perspective in your risk management and your potential landing site, something that you alluded to earlier. And I love that about STOL flying, because I feel much more confident in my airplane because I know what its performance capabilities are. There's no question in my mind whether or not I can land in that spot or that spot. And that comes with experience. And so come on out and join the fun. And this is a guy who's making that happen. Brandon Korn, these last, I'd say 18 months since the first time I saw him compete-ish, he has really come a long way and become one of my favorite pilots on the circuit.
Without a doubt, he's got a little wind on the nose now, just what he's looking for. Brandon making the noise, blowing dust and dragging tail.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful work.
That was a fantastic takeoff performance. Brandon really getting that airplane off the ground in as short as possible. I think he was under 400 feet. That is crazy short for a Cessna 205 at over 9,000 feet density altitude.
There's a reason that Brandon's one of our crowd favorites. And that beautiful airplane that he actually took apart and painted himself in his collision company in their paint booth.
Yep, and here's the contrast here. Brad Hoffer's airplane, still a fantastic takeoff performance, but much, much longer than the bigger Cessna 205. So it's a real testament to how Brandon's really got it dialed in the unlimited class. Hal Stockman just really
once
just
again,
floating
just
it
flying it off.
Just effortless. No big deal. 125 feet. What's 125 feet among friends?
Well, we'll talk more about this tomorrow as we get into that unlimited class, but it's really a question of perspective and what your goals are. Hal wanted to build the lightest possible airplane with as much power as was comfortable, whereas Steve kind of went a different direction and said, I just care about power, raw power. It's interesting to see the performance differentials. Beautiful Kit Fox Model 7. And then Lawnmower 2. Joseph Card, who's in that Kit Fox Model 7 we just saw take off, he says he's a 54-year-old private pilot with a couple of years of flying experience and enjoys exploring by air. And I think it's something that all of us here at National STOL can agree with, this option of exploring by air and how that really creates a whole new perspective of the world, life, etc. It is a beautiful thing to get out and explore by air.
We've got Brandon Korn on his final approach. He looks like he's a little ways away. So let me take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Flight Outfitters. They have everything from bags to knee boards and accessories. All the items in Flight Outfitters line are driven by the owner Mark's enthusiasm for flying and making sure that each product can help you pilot your own adventures. So as you're out there exploring, like Eric just said, you can get geared up. There's an exclusive National STOL jacket online that you can purchase, and it can be customized. So check it out,
It is my favorite
flightoutfitters.com. Yeah, I'd love to have one.
Yeah, I have to say that's my favorite jacket. It is the best gift that you can give someone else. If you're looking for something, whether it's a birthday or Christmas, the Flight Outfitters jackets, all national stoled up with your name, super cool gift.
And wow, what a beautiful landing by Brandon Korn. He's sponsored by McFarland Aviation. They're such a great company. They're a second-year sponsor of National STOL, and we're happy to have them. McFarland is a diversified manufacturing company. They make all sorts of cool aviation parts, from high-quality FAA PMA components all the way down the line. They're also a distributor of MT propellers. If you need a replacement part for your Cessna aircraft or a new propeller, be sure to check out McFarland Aviation in Baldwin City, Kansas.
Great to have McFarland's support. Here's that beautiful 182 once again.
Brad Hoffer. Oh, wow. Beautiful pilot control there. Just a little bit short. Came up on the power. Didn't make it past the line, though. That's what practice is all about.
It is indeed. Still stopping fully, just like we said earlier. It's important to keep that muscle memory of knowing you've got to stop. And now we get to play the game. Which one is Hal? It's either Hal or Hal. No, I'm kidding. It looks from the screen, it looks almost like two lawnmowers back to back, but I know the Kit Fox is in between. Great to see Hal's approach here. We do get to play a game, though. The game is, will his prop stop or not?
Oh, I think it will. You know, there's some sports psychology behind being consistent in your practice, and this man knows everything about consistency. Every single time he wants to do the exact same thing. With that said, Hal Stockman putting in a sub 150-foot practice landing there. Absolutely beautiful performance from one of our unlimited competitors. And quite honestly, watching that happen at 9,000 feet in 150 feet is just marvelous. Unbelievable performance there from Hal.
In these conditions, no less. Look at that, raising the nose, dropping back down, transferring all the energy into the wheels and tires, trying to get the airplane stopped as quickly as possible, about 325 feet, 350. For a guy who's only been flying for a few years, seeing Joseph Card really put that airplane through its paces, his Edge Performance engine ripping it off the ground at 155 horsepower out of a 912 STI. And of course, the TK1 racing shocks really allowing the airplane to come back to the ground with a vengeance.
I think I first flew to Oshkosh with Lawnmower 2 in 2012-ish. This very airplane right here. Let's see, compared to Hal, beautiful landing there, a little bouncy. He does have that spring steel landing gear instead of the shocks that Hal has, so that definitely played an impact. He was not able to get on the brakes as aggressively or as soon as Hal, and that resulted in around a 300-foot landing roll.
And that's something we see pretty consistently, that the spring gear does bring substantial challenges. You know, we've seen pilots like Warren Grobelar begin to find ways to get either field approvals or STCs to add shocks to their spring gear. That's really changing the game, which is the whole point, right? That's why we race. We race to push the boundaries and to learn more and more and try new things. That's why racing is so exciting and why we're excited to present this National STOL Series to help pilots find new ways to improve aviation.
Hal Stockman just pointed his tail right at the booth here and gave me a little blast of air. I think he's running some engine additive. He might be running some racing fuel. That did not smell like normal aviation fuel.
Well, very, very, very possible there. We do know that Steve Henry said that he changes his fuel between practice and the primary event, going to race gas, and they are both running nitrous. So it's a huge hit of that nitrous bottle right there at the takeoff moment. You'll be able to hear the difference in the engine tone as he comes off the nitrous. And while it certainly adds some risk of combustion, it makes for a heck of a show. Riley Schulenberger asking in the socials, where is this at? Well, it is at Pinedale, or in Pinedale, Wyoming. This event is live right now in Pinedale, Wyoming, with a current density altitude of 9,116 feet and 4 knots of wind.
What do you think by the end of practice, Eric? Do you think we're going to get up to 9,500 feet density altitude? I think so.
I'm going to shoot for the round 10,000. Let's go for the round 10.
No doubt. Brad Hoffer. Now, compared to Brandon Korn, Brad's shaving off a little distance there. I think he's taken off a good 200 feet from his earlier morning practice rounds. I think he'll be happy with that.
I completely agree with you, and I think that he's probably watching Brandon and getting some pointers. You'll see a lot of these guys who have struggled or aren't quite showing the same performance as their competitors start to watch the competition, start to understand what's happening differently. We see Justin Tisdale flying his Zenith and compare him to someone like Jan, who has been flying a Zenith for much longer, has a little more comfort level with getting the nose higher, really flying the fuselage. And you start to see them adapt and change their approach to amplify their skill and their score based upon the experience of their competitors. Joseph, 155 horsepower, 912. An engine generally designed for 80 to 100 horsepower. Absolutely killing it.
And I second that comment. Becky Bell online and social, she says, way to go, Brandon. I agree, man. Brandon is killing it. So much fun to watch. Brandon Korn in that beautiful Cessna 205 rounding out his base leg. But we still have Lawnmower 2, piloted by Joe Eiling. He's down from Arizona. He's no stranger to hot temperatures, so density altitude does play an impact into his flying, but I don't know if he ever sees it around 10,000 feet. I don't know if it ever gets to 10,000 in Yuma, but it's got to be up pretty high.
I will say, I was just in Eloy. I was in Eloy, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and we were seeing density altitudes in this range, which was crazy, but it was also 118 degrees or something nonsensical like that.
Yeah, just very unbearable. Brandon Korn on his final approach here. I'm really interested to see what landing technique he's going to employ now. Looks like he's going to do his high style, so he's not going to drag it in low in ground effect. And what this technique does is it really tries to take advantage of his landing gear absorbing some of that energy. What he's trying to do is utilize that landing gear to absorb that energy so his brakes don't have to, and that can really shorten up his landings. Look at that. Beautiful. Holy smokes. About 350 feet. Holy cow. Brandon Korn really putting on a clinic. That was fantastic.
Brandon has been really aggressive in this style of landing. We saw at Lone Star last, probably the most incredible, potentially devastating, but ended up being incredible landing in the mud, where it was nose gear first, really taking the impact, allowing it to bleed off all that energy, and he stopped in a fraction of the distance he normally does.
Yeah, just a fantastic way to demonstrate the performance potential in a Cessna 205. I mean, wow, that is just fantastic. I'm just a huge fan, and I love watching it happen. From our rookie class now, actually he's in our touring class, Brad Hoffer in his Cessna 182. Oh, again, about the same as his last landing, just fell out right there at the end. That is just a heartbreaker to see happen. I hope he doesn't have that happen during the competition tomorrow, because you're so close. You've got everything dialed in and just shy of the line. I am starting to see a little bit more of a headwind come into play. I'm not sure what the official numbers were, but if I were a betting man, I'd say it's somewhere between 5 to 7, right on the nose of these competitors now. Here comes Hal Stockman, really really slow now. He's got this new wing mod that he's just in love with, that our friend Clint down in South Dakota just installed in lieu of his leading edge slats. Holy cow. I'm speechless on that one, ladies and gentlemen.
That was fabulous. That was fabulous. And seeing what Clint is doing with these wings really gets me excited to see that new Badlands Traveler that is being developed for HAL. You know, this idea of taking a lighter aircraft from a normal Badlands Traveler, which is considered to be one of the ultimate all-arounders, right? They have that Cessna hub. They have all these different options. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Joseph, nice landing.
Yeah, that was beautiful. His best so far of the practice round. And really coming to compete. I love the orange.
You and your orange, man. I'm just going to get you some orange sunglasses from Flying Eyes, and everything will be orange, and you'll be happy with the whole world.
Hey, wait, that's what I have on. I actually really love these sunglasses. Before they were ever a sponsor of either National STOL, or I'm actually an affiliate reseller myself, but use that National STOL coupon code on their website and pick yourself up a pair. I actually really love them. They're my favorite pair of sunglasses.
See the world through orange lenses, just like Corey Robin.
And you know, I was always a cheap sunglasses guy because I am hard on stuff and I lose everything. And these are really the first expensive sunglasses I've ever owned. And I got to tell you, I love them. The optical quality, the lightness, how cool they are on your face. You don't have to sweat. Your hair doesn't get caught in them. Just, there's nothing bad about Flying Eyes. I love them.
That's the best kind of report, and I love to hear it.
Real world. All right, I am excited.
Real world.
I am so excited to see this next round of practice. We've got Rick Boardman coming out. Might have made some adjustments to his airplane, not sure. But he only did a couple of landings earlier and then went back to the pits, made some adjustments, and he's back out to practice.
Rick is a consummate professional, and I'm not surprised to hear him going back to modify, to tweak his prop to make sure it's exactly what it should be. Look at that 185. Of course, Steve Henry. This gets me excited every time. Rick Boardman now off the line. You see his slats bouncing as he moves.
Yeah, that was really, really great. Now, he's really shaved off a lot of distance. I know that there is a little bit of wind now, so that may be it. But anytime you're able to shave off 50, 60, 100 feet from one practice round to another, that is really fantastic. So I think he'll be happy with whatever change he made in the pits.
And see, I go even further than that and say, look at the percentage, right? If he was rotating at 210 before and he's coming off at 150, that's a massive percentage change. Not just the feet, but the percentage shift is huge for these performers. You know, they really need to be working that down, especially as they get into tomorrow's full-on races, and we'll be doing just that. Number 7.
Yeah, this is one of our favorites. I believe he's from Minnesota. Is this Kurt Leaders?
It is Kurt Leaders from Minnesota. Indeed, Kurt is a master, ripping the airplane off the ground just the right timing. And Kurt is actually an incredible mechanic as well. He helped our friend Warren Grobelar put in his new IO 520 into that 180. So Warren feels like he has new life in his aircraft. It's neat to see him all the way out here from Minnesota.
This is Jim Kasich from Boulder, Colorado, in his beautiful Cessna 206.
Really working to get it off the ground, not going for the aggression we see from the 205. It's interesting to see the difference in style. I'm sure that Brandon Korn will have some feedback for him. But ladies and gentlemen, on the line now, you've got Steve Henry. This thing is just bonkers. Yeehaw 8. I'm excited to see what he can do in this crazy high density altitude.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, if you haven't got your cameras out yet, ladies and gentlemen, you should. And we have to retrain every time we do this. Our camera operators don't realize that they have to angle it so high within seconds because he's going to climb like crazy. Look at the timing on this takeoff.
That was amazing. Absolutely insane.
I'm watching the crowd right now, looking down on you all as you guys are covered mouths, people in absolute shock. And that's only turned up to about 80% of his actual performance that you'll be able to see tomorrow. He is the one to beat. Hal Stockman will be gunning for him. But right now, Rick Boardman, once again, Mr. Consistency, really getting the angle of attack right where he wants it. Wait for him. Keep the power in and drop it on the line.
Yeah, I just saw Lexi Duncan, the line judge there, pull out the blue flag with her head held low. She was not happy. She wants to wave that checkered flag every time. Rick Boardman pushing hard, though, so you'll see that tomorrow. You're going to see a lot of these competitors really get the teeth out tomorrow. Here comes the Cessna.
Big boy. I like this. I guess those are Horton STOL kit tips, I believe. There's so many daggum STOL kits anymore. I lose track. But look at him sliding to the side.
Yeah, that is really fun to watch. This is John Douglas. He's a local competitor here from Pinedale, Wyoming. Really putting on a great performance in his 182. That was really fun to watch.
It's a little bit like Tokyo Drift out there as the dust is starting to billow everywhere. It's pretty awesome.
I know. Tear it up. Just playing
Kurt
the dirt like
now.
we did when we were kids.
Indeed. Kurt's very consistent. He's flying the smaller tires, so he's not going to have as much absorption of that energy.
If he's
He's
got
out
the
of the power,
airplane
he's
in.
letting it fly.
Got the airplane in. Oh, Lexi drops her head again. Another scratch.
And that is a challenge for Kurt. Kurt generally needs to get at least one score on the board. That's the safe move for tomorrow. He wants to make sure he gets one safety in so he gets a score. Otherwise, the challenge can be that you end up with no score at all. Those scratches landing before the line. And we saw that in Minnesota where he ended up scratching, I believe, twice and then finally getting a score on his third run. It's definitely a challenge to kind of ride that line. You want to make sure that you're as short as possible, but you scratch one too many times, you end up with absolutely nothing.
That's absolutely correct. And we've actually seen podium changes come from a scratch where, you know, somebody's got this fantastic landing and they scratch it, unfortunately. And it is just a heartbreaker to see during competition. So today is the day to get that all practiced out. Let's get those scratches out of the way. If you're itchy, get it handled today.
This is the time, absolutely. With our eyes now high to the left, let's see what Mr. Steve Henry can do slowing this airplane down.
Now, horsepower doesn't play any effect on the landing, so you still got to come in and you got to bring it when you come in for a landing as well. And so let's watch Steve Henry. He's done so many modifications to this airframe, but he also owns Wild West Aircraft in our neighboring state over there in Idaho. If you want a yeehaw type airplane in your hangar, he's the one to talk to. Those knobby tires tearing up the dirt. Steve Henry putting
tearing
on
up the dirt, sub 100.
That was
gotta
fantastic.
love seeing that.
Yeah, that was a fantastic performance.
With this density altitude, we should be seeing that at least 50% longer, just based upon the math, based upon the numbers, looking at all of the numbers from the past year. What should we expect? And we're seeing exceptional results there for Steve with incredibly short takeoffs, incredibly short landing, and we get to see it happen at least 2 more times right now. I'm so excited.
And, you know, Steve builds super planes and he practices at high altitudes. And so when he gets down into the lower altitudes, it's like a playground for him. But this is his wheelhouse. He's no stranger to 10,000 plus density altitude takeoffs. In fact, I think his famous dead stick takeoff was well over 10,000 feet in altitude. Density altitude.
Actually, that story is a great one too. If you haven't seen it, look up Dead Stick Takeoff on YouTube, where you can watch Steve turn his airplane off and then fly it off a mountain. Not a lot of people who could have that story?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow. Rick Boardman pulling it at just the right moment.
On social, getting into the action, Burstix with the comment, he just simply said, yeehaw. And I return that sentiment right back to you, brother. Yeehaw indeed. That is quite a fun ride to watch. All right, here's John Douglas again. One of our hometown heroes from right here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Really showing us how you can get a certified airplane and have plenty of fun in the backcountry with it in that beautiful 182.
Actually, Burstix, the guy who just commented on there, is hosting a Nationally STOL sponsored STOL competition in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're looking forward to joining him for some real world locations in a virtual world. Flight Simulator events coming up very soon. We'll have some more details to come soon, but if you are a online sim person, you enjoy flying on your computer, we're going to be hosting National STOL events just for you.
That sounds fun. I'm in.
Something different. Yeah, right? It's going to be fun. It's going to be different. I'm excited about it.
Oh, it's so much fun watching 2 X-Ray take to the skies. That's piloted by Jim Kasich from Boulder, Colorado. Big, beautiful 206. Let's just go ahead and be quiet and let's listen to the rumble of Yeehaw 8. It's always fun, Steve, making time to give the wave to the crowd as he flies by after a monumentally crazy short takeoff. Unbelievable.
Every time it's inspiring. It really is. It's something you just look at and go, man, I can't wait for more people to build race planes so we can see some wild shenanigans happen, because these race planes are incredible to watch and they keep pushing technology forward.
Yeah, it's just really fun. Okay, Rick Boardman in his Carbon Cub SS with the belly pod, the big tires. You know, this is the typical scene that I am just right at home seeing on a sandbar or in a valley, in a mountain, wanting to have a camping adventure. This is your backcountry traveler right here. Beautiful airplane, beautiful landing. Wow. Oh.
Look at how much he's working the rudder pedals. They're really, really taking every piece of that airplane and trying to make it stop where he could, keeping it straight. Great control from Rick Boardman as usual. And as we have our next contestant flying in, I want to bring some crazy news just in from the booth. It appears that Austin Clemens, we were talking about him earlier, young man who's an exceptional pilot, had that 6-foot deviation between 3 takeoffs and landings, will be joining us this weekend. He's en route and just registered. He'll be competing against the likes of Jeff Pohl, and it will be a very exciting match because Jeff and Austin had a shootout at our last event, our first ever shootout, in fact. And, ooh, a little early there. But very exciting news to have Austin inbound in his reversing propeller Husky all the way from Kansas.
Yeah, I like to call Austin Clemens the Wonder Kid. I remember him telling me a story about one time he saw us doing the demonstration, the STOL demonstration in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. He was in the crowd. He was too young to have a pilot's license, but as soon as he was old enough, he joined the family, the fraternity, and now he's one of our most seasoned and skilled competitors. It's really fun to see the last 2-3 years him really come on board and become a part of the family. Very inspiring young man, flies everything from helicopters to jets to STOL planes. I'm excited to see Austin Clemens come out and play with us today.
Absolutely. And one thing that's been blowing my mind lately is he's been posting videos flying a King Air off of a grass strip, and the takeoff and landing distances of under 1,000 feet, if I recall correctly. Just absolutely nutty stuff to see. Kurt Leder's real heavy on the brakes here in this replay. You can see the dust flying, and it is moving a little bit. That wind is picking up.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of wind. It's just really kind of mostly calm, though, to be honest with you, Eric. It's not really going to be a huge factor in the distances here. It's more, shifting from the right, shifting from the left. It's more of a non-issue than anything else. The biggest factor today is going to be that density altitude. Beautiful landing here in the 206. Wow.
I love the size of the flaps on that airplane. They're just massive.
Jim Kasich just putting on a clinic of what a beautiful landing looks like. I love it.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Great performance, great piloting, and a beautiful day here in Pinedale, Wyoming, a place that many people would look at and just say, this is too perfect.
Now, as Steve Henry makes his way in for his landing, let me talk about Aero LEDs. You can see him blinking there back and forth on his wigwags. They're an industry pioneer and leader of LED-based aerospace lighting. Thank you so much for your sponsorship, Aero LED. If you are in the market or are building an airplane or you want to retrofit a certified airplane with LEDs, they have a solution for you. So check it out, Aero LEDs, or some people call it AeroLED. But Steve Henry's flying those beautiful bright lights, and it's bright here in Wyoming, and those were shining pretty good.
Oh, you can see them coming, that's for sure. Guys, right now we're going to take just a brief momentary break to have a water truck service that dusty runway before our final rounds today. We will be getting back to this tomorrow bright and early. Make sure that you come back if you're live in person or if you're live on the internet. We'd love to have you join us for this great event. And with that said, I want to encourage you guys during this quick break, take a moment, walk over to that merch tent. That's the beautiful National STOL tent over by the trailer. Check out some of our local merchandise just for Pinedale. This is a special shirt, etc., some really cool hats. And make sure you pick up a copy of Aviation. It's a free magazine, free magazine focusing on stories of youth and aviation. You can pick up a free copy of it at the merch table. We'd love to have you there. And you can also check out our committee coffee. It's small batch coffee that aims to make specialty coffee more accessible to the everyday consumer. It's law enforcement owned, and they're a brand new sponsor of National STOL. If you use coupon STOL at committeecoffee.com, you can get some money off, and they are offering product prizes for our class winners, which I'll tell you right now, for a lot of these guys, particularly the ones who are building their airplanes, like Justin Tisdale, who's won this prize, he needed it. He was ready for the coffee, ready for the pick-me-up. Corey, we going to go to commercial for this break, or are we going to keep it moving?
I'm not quite sure, but as we move on, I want to talk about, before we go to a commercial, we haven't mentioned yet one of my favorite sponsors that makes the most beautiful coatings, AirTech Coatings. Beautiful airplanes. They make paint fly. Now, while we get this water truck to kind of get rid of some of that dust for us, we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and run a commercial real quick.
When it's time to recover and paint your fabric-covered aircraft, look no further than AirTech Coatings. Since 1982, our FAA-approved system provides you with a shiny, durable, easy-to-apply product. The AirTech system has fewer steps than any other product on the market today, saving you both time and money. While using cutting-edge technology, we offer a wide range of products. Whether it's for work, play, antique, or aerobatic, we have you covered. Remember, we make paint fly.
Hey, I'm Chad, and I am Legend. So once I decided I wanted to buy a bush plane, a Super Cub, before I began my research, I had never even heard of Legend Aircraft. I had heard of a couple different manufacturers, and that's really what I started with when I started researching. It was only through doing different Google searches and getting on the forums and hearing about this Legend brand that I began to really research them. And what I know today is Legend Aircraft is the best kept secret in aviation. It doesn't appear to me that they spend their money on a lot of marketing and advertising. They spend that money on research and development and into building a great product. Another factor for me, aside from the build quality differences, the willingness to customize, the customer service, their willingness to sit down and almost do a kind of a ground up one-off creation. On top of that was the other manufacturer that I was looking at. If I were to spec out this plane as close as they could get, I was getting less value, a less rugged, less sturdy, not as well built airplane, and an airplane that ultimately at the end of the day was not exactly what I wanted. That plane spec'd out at about $100,000 more than the Legend aircraft version. And what I ended up with here with the AmeriCub was exactly what I wanted out of a bush plane and out of a Super Cub. And Legend Aircraft was willing to build that for me.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Water trucks driven, planes lined up. I see people laughing and having a great time there in Pinedale, Wyoming. It's great to have everyone here at the airport. It's exciting to share our love of all things aviation, especially of shorter is better. Let's take a look at these guys getting ready. I see Kurt Leaders outside of his airplane. He's got his arms crossed. It's like he has a bone to pick with somebody. Lexi prepping things for us as the water truck drives on by. Corey, are you excited to get back up and running?
Man, I'd sure love to see some STOL action. What do you say we kick those tires and light some fires? Top Gun style.
When you're ready to go.
Plan.
I've just heard from the air boss, and he has cleared propellers turning. So I even hear one going. I'm excited to hear it. Man, what a great morning. I am so excited to see the competition tomorrow. Eric, what time are we starting tomorrow so that people online and also locally here can join the fun?
Same time, same place. That'll be 9 a.m. Mountain Time or 11 a.m. Eastern, right here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Looking forward to having everyone that's here right now today, including young lady in the pink pants. Just saw make her way to the line. I'm excited to have everyone back tomorrow for more fun. It should be a great day for aviation.
Heck yeah, I'm really ready for it. Today's been a really interesting day of practice competition. The density, altitude, and the conditions here in Pinedale are definitely a curveball for a lot of our competitors. I'm really excited to see some of these local guys just that have come out to play. So excited for our rookie class. I think we've seen all 4 of them fly this morning. Very excited about the skill set that they bring to the table and the learning and excitement that brings. And holy cow, we get to watch more practice right now for about 20 minutes. Ira Walker coming online just mentioned that Steve Henry, even though it's unofficial, none of these results are official, but that is an unofficial takeoff and landing record that was just put on by Steve Henry on that last round.
And I just want to take a moment to shout out to our friend Rob Stanton, who's making jokes about Yeehaw 8 eating 7. Rob is the owner of AirTech Coatings, and they do make paint fly, man. When we talk about the finish on some of these aircraft, if you get an opportunity to see an AirTech Coatings covered plane, the way that it looks is unlike any other system. I absolutely love what they do with paint.
Yeah, my next airplane will be done in the AirTech Coatings system. You know, the first time I actually hadn't met Robbie, I actually saw his aircraft. He's got a beautiful white and kind of a light blue Super Cub, and I walked around that thing for about 15 minutes just looking at how gorgeous it was. And then I got to meet him at Oshkosh, and you know, I think he was a little taken aback about how much of a fan of him I am and of his shop there. Just a great company to work with, whether you're restoring an airplane or you're just purchasing the system to finish your own aircraft. AirTech Coatings is fantastic. Beautiful stuff.
Yes, indeed. And guys, as we're getting ready here, watching these aircraft take off and enjoy their lap around, know that tomorrow this field will look different than it does today. We'll have all the flags up. We'll be in full regalia. We'll be ready. And the reason why they aren't up right now, the standard look of a National STOL event, is because yesterday, unlike today, it was gusting 32 knots. So 32 knots of wind, they didn't want to put the flags out and have to fight with them. So it makes a lot of sense, but we'll look forward to being fully set up and ready for tomorrow. Kurt Leader's now on the roll in a beautiful 185. And since I have a microphone, I might as well use it. If anybody knows where a nice 185, early 185, or a late model, like an H model 180 is, just hit a brother up. It's pretty easy to find me on the internet. I'd love to. I'm crowdsourcing my airplane shopping now.
While we're plugging people, I just want to plug some of these local pilots. Holy cow, we're watching them put on a great clinic in these Cessnas.
Love this 206.
The
really
206
here.
is one of the staples, the workhorse staples in the backcountry in Alaska and also in Idaho. Just a beautiful airplane, in and out, carries a heck of a load. I think you could load 500 pounds in that thing, and that takeoff roll would be just about the same. Just a fantastic airplane.
I agree with you. But here we are, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Henry, waiting for the go from the air boss. Listen to the turbos howl.
Oh.
And away he goes.
Oh, that is filthy. That is disgusting. That is nasty. Nobody is going to beat that man unless they come with some serious engineering. And that's what Steve Henry has done. He's taken the last 4 years to get to this point. And what a beast this Yeehaw 8 is proving to be. I can't tell you how impressed I am with its performance. Now, as this airplane comes in for landing, let me set the stage here. Imagine you're coming home from a camping trip, and you've just loaded 300 pounds of caribou into the back of your Super Cub and loaded up that belly pod with all kinds of moose meats and all the things that you do as a hunter. That's one of the things we do out here in the backcountry is we utilize these aircraft to access these remote areas. And this Super Cub is one of the styles of aircraft that has made that possible for the last, 75 years or so. Fantastic airplane.
Exactly. Great airplanes and even better piloting. Rick's an incredible pilot, both agriculturally and right here at National STOL. We love seeing him compete. It's great to see him out here practicing, even though he's got the chops, even though he has the skills on his own, does not even need to practice. Just like Jeff Pohl said, the practice is what makes the pilot. So seeing Rick out here practicing away is always an honor.
Right, absolutely. Another one of our beautiful 182s, I believe. Yep, this is John Douglas, one of our local Pinedale, Wyoming favorites. Beautiful performance. I'm looking for the flag, though, and Lexi's holding the blue. I don't know if she knows if it was a scratch or if it was good. She's just going to leave it to the judges. She doesn't know. Too close to call. Since it's not official, I'm going to call that one good. Absolutely fantastic.
Let the local man have his moments. Jeez.
No, I'm really having a great time watching John fly today. Just really fun to watch. I really hope he comes out and plays at some of the other events in the series.
I agree. It'll be great to have him.
All right. Kurt Leaders here on his short final. This airplane just flies almost like it's a race car. It's kind of got that Corvette vibe for me. Oh, blue flag. But look how short that is, though, guys. Unbelievable. About 200 feet in a big, beautiful 185. That's nothing to shake a stick at.
Not bad at all for such a big airplane that's so daggone capable. Once again, we see these crazy big flaps inbound.
Yeah, beautiful 206 inbound. You've got now in Idaho, they do a lot of river rafting, and the 206 takes a lot of river rafters up and downstream to catch those boats. Whether you're rafting down the North Fork or the Middle Fork, this is one of the workhorses you'll see in Idaho. A beautiful
And we're
airplane.
seeing some wind now, guys. I'm not sure if someone blew on our wind meter, but we're seeing 14 knots, which is a huge jump.
Yeah, that's
and may
not
give
real.
us exactly the landing Steve Henry's looking for.
I don't think so. I think that is not true. Doesn't feel like 14 knots anyway. Maybe it is. But I think Steve Henry lands just about the same regardless of the conditions. He's just got it so dialed in. And he makes it look
Dialed in,
effortless.
right.
But let's take a look at his horizontal and his rudder. He is working very hard in that airplane to keep it under control. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
Guys, if we see this kind of performance tomorrow, we could see record set indeed. That was next to no wind and just absolutely beautiful control.
That was sick. That was twisted. It was nasty. Unbelievable. Right there on the line, too. At 9,116 feet density altitude, that is crazy how short he's able to get that airplane in. Unbelievable.
Absolutely awesome, guys. This is what National STOL is all about. It's about people building up their perfect airplane, working through the engineering, figuring out exactly what they should do with their gear height, their tire size, prop diameter, 2 blades, 4 blades, 6 blades. What is the most efficient? I see Hal Stockman standing underneath the National STOL tent there, and he is one of the best at this as well. He'll be competing tomorrow against Steve Henry, and I know that he's watching that landing going, oh no, that is a concerning landing. Corey, back to you, my friend.
Yeah, you know, Hal has got his work cut out for him. He's got a completely different philosophy. He wants to do things, you know, more on the affordable side. He wants to set that example. But I got to tell you, Hal is hungry, and I know he's still got ideas. He's got things up his sleeve. He wears that jumpsuit, and I know he's got notes little stashed in the pockets everywhere. He's got some things up his sleeves, and he is still pushing. He's got that leading edge mod that he's just done, and I'm really looking forward to what he is, you know, going to bring to the table for not the rest of this season, but also next season as well. But let's actually, while we have a minute, while these airplanes are warming up and taxiing down, let's run an interview really quick with one of my favorites, Mr. Brandon Korn.
Welcome back, National STOL fans. We're here with Brandon Korn. Beautiful practice out there, except for one not so beautiful landing. Talk about it.
Well, I was trying a little different flap setting, and it kind of wheelbarrowed on me a little bit, so it was pretty bouncy. Didn't hurt anything, but I'm sure it put on quite a show.
Definitely look like you're on a bucking bronco there, but she held it together. Even when you're not looking good, you're looking good. This plane's just so gorgeous.
Well, thank you. Thankfully, this thing's tough. This is one tough airplane.
You were saying you put 5,000 miles on it. You traveled to more competitions than any other pilot competing here in the National STOL Series. Is anyone going to catch up with you?
I don't think so. I know one thing. They should have an award for making all the events. It's a challenge. Just flying all over the country, it's great.
Definitely a challenge. It's like reminds you of back to school, like perfect attendance award.
Yeah. It's just something else to plan each trip and fly across the country and figure out all these flights home and back and forth. And so many people will just help you out and take you in. It's great.
Talking about help, talk about some of the sponsors or some of the people that actually are helping you get to these events.
Well, we have McFarland Aviation with the MT prop and their tail skid. And then we have Texas Air Parks. My good friend Bill Chance helps me out. And then Korn Collision Center, our shop, is a big supporter.
Who did the paint job, right?
We did the paint job here at Korn Collision, yes.
It is absolutely stunning. You've seen it out there. It's a fan favorite. Well, good luck in tomorrow's final. Back to you, Ryan.
All right.
You gotta love Reese Dockhand, man. That's beautiful Louisiana sense of humor. It's just awesome to watch.
Absolutely, so much fun. And let's get back to the live action, Eric. We've got Brian Shirley and the monster legend Moac Cub on the line. We're just waiting for approval from the Air Boss to get underway here again. But another round of practice. I'm seeing Keith laying out there. We got Electric Fox. I see a Husky. Got another Cessna coming out. And this man, Brian Shirley, in the beautiful gray and orange Legend Cub.
Starting to see those takeoff numbers dropping as the winds picked back up. We're showing only 2 knots, though. It's surprising to me because it looks like they're getting more and more performance. It could just be they're getting more comfortable, and that's what this practice is all about.
Absolutely, Eric. And I did get a little bit more information here about Kyle Patterson and the name Electric Fox. I checked into it, and my buddy Patrick McIntyre, which is another competitor in National STOL, he talked to Kyle Patterson for me, and he found out that Kyle works in the electric power industry. That's his trade, and that's why he named his airplane the Electric Fox as an homage to his trade. That is pretty cool.
Guys, this guy right now in front of you, Keith Lang, one of my... Well, this isn't Keith Lang. You did it to me again. You did it to me again. It's a Husky.
It does look
it's
like
the same paint job. It looks just like it.
It looks exactly like it. Absolutely.
Too cool. This is Husky 323 Sierra Alpha, and Tim Adelson, who is on the chat right now on our live stream, says that he has some relationship with this airplane. Let me go find out more information. It looks like his business partner owned the plane and got his private in it. Did a great job. Loved the airplane. That's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that was Patrick Pfister. He's also a local here at Pinedale, Wyoming. Really looking forward to watching him compete in the backcountry class against the likes of Jeff Pohl and Andrew Jones and Brett Kobe tomorrow. It's going to be super fun to watch.
100% is going to be an adventure. Pulls for the rotation, maybe a little late. Got a lot of climb there. It tells us he left a little bit on the table. He could have probably pulled about 30 feet sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful takeoff, though. I think that was Andrew Jones, also a local here from Pinedale, Wyoming.
This is a gorgeous airplane. See, this is the kind of airplane that someone needs to call me they know about for sale cheap. That's what I need right there, guys. Less aggressive. Just letting it float off the runway, dropping a wing now, building that speed back up. There we go. That's what we want to see, the pilot accelerating before the climb. Very nice.
Absolutely. That is exactly what you want to do. Make sure you have plenty of extra energy. Now here we go from the left. This is our Legend Cub, piloted by Brian Shirley. He's come from Dodge City, Kansas. Watch that elevator. Oh, didn't watch it enough. A little bit of a scratch there.
Delicate balance.
Yep. I think Brian made some changes for his takeoff roll, so I don't know that he's super focused on his landing roll. He really wanted to shave off some feet on his takeoff roll, and so that's why he went back to the pits, made a couple of changes, and now he's back to put those changes to the test.
And we've seen that over and over again. Colin Kaniva at the last event going back to repitch over and over again just to get the most possible pull that he can get on that takeoff roll.
Yeah, that's no stranger to going back to the pits and making those adjustments. Now, Kyle Patterson from the left in the Kit Box Model 4. He's from across the state in Torrington.
It's good.
Beautiful landing. Not super aggressive
nice
on the
pull.
braking there, but a beautiful textbook landing there from Kyle Patterson.
Interesting to see him taking it all the way down to the end, get in there behind that Legend.
This is not Keith Lang.
Good to know. Good to know.
This is Patrick Pfister in his beautiful Husky A1. Oh, barely. A little late on the power correction there. You know, these higher altitudes, I'm starting to notice that these higher altitudes, we're seeing a lot more scratches, and I'm starting to wonder if that's going to be the story tomorrow. Is it going to be a challenge for there to be even a score on the board for some of these competitors? Because this high mountain air is proving to be a challenge for them to get behind that power curve safely and not touch those wheels before the line. Now here's Andrew Jones from the left on his short final. Let's see if he can, right as I said it, maybe another, just like Patrick, in the previous landing, a little behind, maybe a second too late on that power. But beautiful landings from both of those Huskies. The hometown manufacturer really showing off the beauty of the Aviat Husky today here in Pinedale, Wyoming. As we watch this next aircraft come in for a landing, I'm just scrolling through to make sure we talked about all of our sponsors today. And I'd like to mention Committee Coffee, great small batch coffee company. They aim to make specialty coffee more accessible to the everyday consumer. They're law enforcement officer owned, and they're also a wonderful brand new sponsor of National STOL. Thank you very much. That's Committee Coffee. Use coupon code STOL when making your purchase at committeecoffee.com for a little bit of a discount. While we have a minute as these aircraft are taxiing by, I'd like to extend a personal thanks to all the organizers, the locals who made this Rocky Mountain STOL event possible, the months, indeed years of planning that sometimes goes into some of these events. Thank you so much. On behalf of us all here at National STOL, you're great hosts, and we sure love you and appreciate you. It's been such a great day here, and we cannot wait to continue the adventure tomorrow. And here's a couple of our late arrivals. Looks like Colin Kneva and Rick Boardman. This is the plane Eric was looking for earlier. They're all loaded up with all their gear. This is not going to be a STOL landing, but this is them arriving for the competition tomorrow. Now they've got to get their airplanes reconfigured. Even though he's loaded up, Evil Knievel, Colin Kneva, putting on an absolute show on his arrival here at Rocky Mountain. And here's Rick Boardman, the master from Alaska, National STOL's real bush pilot. What's that? Oh, sorry, that's not Rick, that's Keith Lang. I get my names mixed up all the time. Just correct me if I'm wrong. But those were some of our favorites coming in. Really excited to see them compete tomorrow. You're going to see both of those gentlemen on the podium tomorrow. I can almost guarantee it. If not, I'll give you a sticker. It'll be in the mail. We're going to go ahead and extend the practice session. A lot of pilots expressing interest in getting used to these challenging conditions. So we're going to extend the practice session till about 12:25 Mountain Time today. So stick around and enjoy some of these guys getting in some of this glorious, beautiful Pinedale, Wyoming sky. I just can't with that beautiful Legend Cub. It's just gorgeous. And here's the Electric Fox. Kyle Patterson, always fun to watch. You know, there's something special about a yellow airplane coming in, something nostalgic for me. I just love that Cub yellow look. Beautiful takeoff there from Kyle Patterson. Okay. So is it? All right, here we go with Patrick Pfister in his 1993 Husky A1 on the takeoff roll. Patrick has been putting in all the work this morning, and he's shaved off quite a bit of distance on both his takeoff and landing, so he's getting ready for his competition performance tomorrow. Now, this airplane is actually being piloted by two different airplanes today, I'm told. That this is not Andrew Jones, but this is actually his dad, Bob, flying this aircraft right now, this beautiful white, black, and blue Husky. Beautiful takeoff there, and that Husky just showing the performance capabilities. I'm a little bit envious of the backdrop that these gentlemen get to fly in every single day. Pinedale, Wyoming is gorgeous. If you're considering coming out to a destination, Pinedale, Wyoming is great. Check it out. Oh, I'm just really loving this flying today, ladies and gentlemen. From the left, just a beautiful profile against that sky. Little bit of headwind helping that Legend Cub out. That was a fantastic display of airmanship there. Beautiful on the controls. Nice and short. Nice and short. Yeah, we'll see Brian Shirley fly that airplane tomorrow against some really heavy hitters in the adventure class. It's going to be a really, really tight competition in that class in particular tomorrow, with the arrival of Keith Lang and Colin Kaniva. And don't forget, we've also got to see, we have yet to see Trevor Walsh in his Super Cub. So that's going to be a really tight and exciting class to watch tomorrow. But this class as well, that Kyle Patterson, Kit Fox, is flying in, you're going to see the Rands S7s and also Rick Boardman in his Carbon Cub competing tomorrow in the sport class. This is also going to be a fun class to watch. And Kyle Patterson just putting on an absolute display of how to control an airplane. And if that were a spot landing competition, that would have been a great one. Yeah, that sport class is really looking good for tomorrow. So join us at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, whether you're here in Pinedale, Wyoming at Rocky Mountain STOL, or you're online. We'd love to have you. And from the left, here comes one of our Huskies. This is Patrick Pfister. He's been putting in the work all morning. This is probably the 20th landing I've seen him put in. He looks like he's got it well under control. Beautiful, beautiful landing there. I think Patrick will be definitely happy with that one. Looking right around 200 feet. Wow. Holy smokes. Wow, that was a great landing from Patrick Pfister. He's your local favorite here, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great one. He's going to be putting the heat on Jeff Pohl tomorrow in the backcountry class. And then there's these guys, Andrew and Bob Jones. This is Bob, I believe, flying the airplane right now. They're also Pinedale locals. Look at those shocks go to work. A little bit longer than Patrick. So this is going to be interesting tomorrow to watch the grudge match between the two Huskies. The takeoff roll in the 2014 Husky, this one is a little bit shorter, but its landings are longer. So it's going to be interesting to see how that backcountry class plays out tomorrow. And then you can't forget the touring class, which is what this airplane is in. We've got the likes of Brandon Korn, Jason Brown, Kurt Leaders, Luke Strandland, Mark Cameron, and Brad Hoffer putting in the work today. This is going to be a fun day tomorrow to watch these guys get their teeth out and really, really compete. It's also fun today to watch the practice rounds, but man, tomorrow's going to be amazing. The touring class is it's going to be a fun one. I love watching these, like the Cessna 205 by Brandon Korn compete against the 185s, the 182s, and don't forget the Super Revel that we saw fly earlier today, piloted by Luke Strandland. It's going to be great. We've also got the Helio Courier going to be entering that touring class competition tomorrow. His landings are going to be nice and short. Takeoffs are a little bit longer, but it's a giant of an airplane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the touring class tomorrow. And since we don't have anybody in the unlimited class flying right now at this moment, we still have tomorrow 2 monster bush planes competing tomorrow in the unlimited class. We've seen him practice out here earlier. Hal Stockman in Lawnmower 3. He's got new modifications and new secrets that he's going to reveal to us in competition tomorrow. I've had a little conversation with Hal, and he's excited about what he's able to bring to the table here in Pinedale, Wyoming. But then there's this man, the unbeatable Steve Henry, or seemingly unbeatable. It's just crazy the amount of effort and the amount of, he's just pedal to the metal all the time, Steve Henry. So the unlimited class tomorrow is going to be fantastic. Look at this beautiful jet coming in for a landing here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Let's take a look at that. Wow. We're going to see about a 2,932-foot landing roll from that jet. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But beautiful landing, though. It's got the thrust reversers in. I can hear those all the way from across the field. They must be drinking some committee coffee in that jet. I can just feel it right now. Make sure you use coupon code STOL for 10% off your committee coffee. All right, coming up to the line, we've got Brian Shirley. Once again, these guys putting in the effort in the practice rounds today so that the competition tomorrow can be fierce and fun. Here we go for his takeoff in the legend, the Moac Cub, Brian Shirley. I'll go ahead and be quiet so you can listen to the engine on these next few takeoffs. I'm told by the race officials that they're just giving it a couple of minutes for wake turbulence. There is a little bit of a crosswind that is blowing that wake turbulence onto the STOL course. So they're giving it a couple of minutes because wake turbulence, ladies and gentlemen, that's no joke. So we'll just give it a minute. That jet was big, and that breeze is just blowing his wake right across the runway. He was in the flare right above us, so that's going to be the moment where you're going to have the most amount of wake turbulence, is when you're at the highest angle of attack. So yeah, let's give it a minute. Why not? We'll talk a little bit about AirTech coatings. They have great coating systems. They also do some restoration and covering work in their shop. So go ahead and reach out to them if you have a covering job as well. Or if you have an airplane that you're about to purchase, I would highly consider them in your selection and search as you're shopping around for all the different processes and coating systems that are out there. AirTech Coatings sure does some beautiful finishes. Let's talk for a moment about Lift Aviation. They're a sponsor of National STOL. Lift's love for flying drives them to deliver only the finest of aviation products to the market. They believe today's pilots deserve much more than what's currently offered in the way of products they wear in the cockpit. So Lift Aviation is bridging that gap and making those products that are stronger and lighter that you can trust. They have helmets, they've got great shoes, they've got bags, they've got all sorts of accessories. Check out Lift Aviation USA. There are some samples over at the National STOL merchandise booth. They've got a helmet, which will be given away to a champion at the end of our season. And we're back underway. Brian Shirley with a really beautiful short takeoff. And here's Kyle Patterson in his Kit Fox Model 4. The engine just purrs like a kitten, like a sewing machine. He's got it so dialed in. We did get word that he works in the electrical community. That's why the nickname Electric Fox. It's an homage to his career. All right. Bob Jones spooling up that Aviat Husky. All right, looks like right just shy of 300 feet. Let's go for 290-ish on that takeoff roll from Bob Jones. More airplanes wanting to get out and practice. The Tiger Shark coming out to play. A couple of Rands. Everybody's coming out to play. Love it. I think I misspoke. I think that was Bob Jones, and the one before was Patrick. I'm going to get it right tomorrow. I'll work on that. All right, here's a little bit bigger airplane for you. So beautiful. All right, to the left, here comes the beautiful Moac Cub, piloted by Brian Shirley. Brian comes from Dodge City, Kansas. Working hard, putting on a show. Absolutely beautiful there from Brian Shirley. All right, from the left, from our sport class, Kyle Patterson in that Kit Fox Model 4. It's got the classic round cowling on it still. I love that. That's my favorite look for the Kit Fox, is that kind of retro classic round cowling design. Really kind of cool looking. Of course, you gotta love the yellow paint on it. Oh, and a scratch from Kyle Patterson. All right. from our backcountry class he'll be competing in tomorrow. From the left is Patrick Pfister. You can see that there's a little bit of thermal activity, those wings rocking around a little bit. That's a challenge for these pilots as they're flying on the low end of that power curve, right on the edge of a stall. So maybe, you know, in a little bit more challenging conditions, I usually bump up the airspeed a little bit so that it's a little easier to manage that. Beautiful landing there. Lexi's holding the blue flag in her hand, but she kind of has also given me the body language that it might have been good. So as the announcer, I'm taking some liberty. I liked that one. That was a good one. Beautiful landing, sub 200 feet from Patrick. He's really going to put on that heat for Bob Jones in the other Husky. Yeah, definitely a little bit more turbulence out there now than we've seen earlier on in the practice session. You see those wings rocking around quite a bit, lot of elevator movement. A little bit more conservative landing approach there from Bob. And now we're looking for our big Cessna to come on in. Oh, beautiful landing. Just gotta love the unique profile of those Cessna 180, 185 airplanes. Just beautiful straight tails. Just brings me right back to the classic era of aviation. All right, let's see from the left who is up first on this next round of practice competitors. Looks like a couple more tail dragon Cessnas coming up. Loving it. All right, we just have a couple of minutes hold here for some jet traffic coming into the Pinedale area. Just going to make sure that everything is good there, make sure everything is clear. This first guy here, he hasn't competed in quite some time. It's been about, 2-3 years. I believe this is Matt Chance. Welcome back to the competition scene. Good to see Matt. I don't know about you, but this could be my screensaver, just watching an airplane just idling. It's beautiful, actually. I love this stuff.
Okay, guys, we're going right traffic. There'll be a Citation jet or a Falcon jet landing on the hard surface off your left side, no factor. Bravo 1, go.
All right, you heard it from the air boss. We've gotten the approval. Do have a jet coming in on approach who's going to be landing on the parallel runway. Oh, yeah. He's back, baby. That was a beautiful takeoff. Oh, that's beautiful. That's Luke Stradland in the 2009 Murphy Super Rebel. Beautiful airplane here. Ooh, look at this cub. We're looking at Trevor Walsh. This is a 1954 Piper PA-18. He comes from Elko, Nevada. Welcome to Rocky Mountain. Here comes that jet for a landing. Looks like a little Citation jet. Welcome to Pinedale, brother. And on the takeoff roll, the Rans S7. Beautiful. That's our rookie. That's William Meacham flying his beautiful, almost brand new Rans S7S. He's also local here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Boy, he is going to love playing with that airplane. And the Tiger Shark. That's Joel Milloway from Idaho in that uniquely painted Rans S7. That airplane was built in finished in 1996. I'm sure it was built over the course of maybe a couple years, who knows? But boy, you can just practically see the smile on Joel's face as he flies that airplane. He's just having a great time up there. All right, we've got our Cessna 185-ish or 80. I can't tell from this distance. On his long final approach.
Reference our line, okay?
All right, now he's dangerously close to the ground. Now let's keep an eye on his elevator and listen to the throttle control. Oh, brought it in, touched that main landing gear. That's a scratch. We're going to see this King Air taxiing from right to left. He's going to taxi down to the end of the runway. He'll flip around the other direction, and then we'll see him again in a moment here taking off. And in the touring class, that's Luke Stradland flying around in the Murphy Super Rebel. definitely a scratch on that one. All right. Here we have the King Air. Lacey's walking out to start the King Air. Here we go. That's Lacey Duncan telling the King Air when he can go. That is so much fun. How often do you get to pull up to a STOL competition in a Super King Air 350 and have Lexi Duncan, the line judge, taxi you up to the line so that you can do a STOL takeoff? Oh, life doesn't get much better than this, ladies and gentlemen. That beautiful landing there by Trevor Walsh. Now here goes the King Air. Let's see if we can do sub 1,000. Aaron, I wonder if you can hold this, buddy. Aaron's the camera operator. And we're off. Here we go. Pull it. Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, your King Air STOL takeoff at National STOL. Doesn't get better than this. Now he's keeping it low to the ground to build up that precious energy before he pulls up. It's super fun. We're having a great time in case you haven't figured it out here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Got one more airplane on short final. Looks like our friend in one of the Rans S7s by the look of it. This is Joel in the Tiger Shark. Now, Joel's no stranger to competition, but he's more of a fly for fun kind of guy. And you can tell by the way he flies, he just makes it look so much fun. Yeah, and he brings the skill set to the table with a perfect on-the-line landing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Joe Milloway. Oh, yeah.
He likes the new prop.
We do have another aircraft back taxiing for takeoff. Looks like a Cheyenne or maybe an Aerostar, something like that. In addition to these beautiful bush planes taxiing by. You know, sometimes I just have to pinch myself that I get to do this, that I get to hang out with these cool pilots and have all this fun, travel around the country and see all these beautiful locations. You know, the funnest thing for me has to be meeting all the people and all the locals that put these events together and how much passion they have and how much they bring to the table, bring to the runway or the grass strip or whatever you've got. It's just so much fun. I just love it out here, and so I'm just grateful. Having a moment of gratefulness. What is that? On the internet, help us out. What is that airplane you're looking at here? I don't know if we can go to the... It does look like an Aerostar, huh? No, November 9-1 Victor Kilo. Beautiful airplane. I wonder if he wants to get in on the STOL action. Looks like Lexi's in for it. Oh, yeah. Looks like we have some corporate STOL going on here in Pinedale, Wyoming. Putting the yeehaw in the competition. All right, guys, what's the published takeoff roll for the Aerostar? How fun. Here we go. Keeping the brakes on. Here we go. Right in front of you here at National STOL. An Aerostar on the takeoff roll. Fully loaded with passengers. I think I see 6 people in there. I love seeing the other pilots here just kind of flying around doing their job. You know, still having the fun. Keep it on the ground for, oh, right there, pull it. Pull it right there. Oh, beautiful STOL takeoff. Keeping it low in the ground effect. Ooh, suck that gear up, buddy. Look at that. And pull, bro. You got this. And we got another jet that's going to come and taxi out. Oh, yeah. Guys in the Aerostar having a great day. I think, yeah, the Falcon might need the full distance of the runway, so we will see, but I doubt we'll see the Falcon turning and burning at Lexi. How much fun is that, though? All right, let's get back to the bush planes. Yeah, that's a beautiful Falcon. HD. That'd be a good N number for, like a video production company back in the day. All right, one of my favorites, Luke Stradland. It's a big airplane, bigger than it looks on the line, guys. Oh, beautiful takeoff. Right at about 415, 420 feet there. Great job. That was William Meekum in the Rans S7. And there's Joe Milloway. We have a little bit of a treat for you, so let's go ahead and roll the tape.
Hi. So how was practice out there today?
I think it was fine. We're up here at 7,000 some feet, so it definitely seems lethargic, but we're all in the same playing field, so it'll be all right.
Thanks. All right.
Well, I'm used to it at home. I got 8 to 10,000 density altitude pretty regular in the summer, so it always amazes me when I go to sea level how good it flies. Yeah, so yeah, it should be more like it is every day, my everyday flying.
Yep, Hal's at a higher altitude where he lives than I am. I don't think it's going to bother me though. Like I say, it's still, you just got to feel the airplane. I will be longer, but I'm not nervous about the altitude at all. It's not near my first time at density altitude. Right. Some of the guys that, they're not used to it at all, and it can really surprise you if you're not really expecting it. You kind of have a really good feel of your airplane, I guess.
It was okay. I was getting used to this high density altitude stuff, but it was good. It was good. Feel like I'm getting the feel of it. Got to get a little better on my takeoffs here, but good. I'm not used to it at 1,000 foot at home, so it's a little bit of a new feeling for me. So, but it's all good. I guess thank my wife and kids. They all made the trek out here with me this week, and we're gonna go have some fun in between flying. So yeah.
Well, it felt good. It's definitely a lot different flying in this high altitude, but I like it. You got to really nurse it off the runway, though. It's a lot of fun.
Everything went pretty well. Huh?
Looks like we're gonna have a solid weekend. Looking good.
Thank you.
It wasn't bad. Just got to make a few adjustments here, but it's hot and the air's kind of icky right now, so it's kind of tough out there. But we'll make a few adjustments, see if we can do a little better.
Right. And you're used to this altitude?
Yeah. Not quite this high, but around 5,000 feet generally is where my field altitude is. So it's a little bit high. Plus density altitude's getting up there. It's probably getting close to 10,000 by now. So it's going to be tough for everybody.
All right, for our internet viewers, we're going to replay that jet takeoff for you that we witnessed during the break. And then I just want to make a general announcement for the pilots that might be listening. Right after the practice session, there is going to be a lunch for the pilots back at the hangar, the same hangar where the pilot briefing was. So if you'd like to go and have a great lunch provided by the wonderful organizers here in Pinedale, please go ahead and check that out right after practice. Beautiful landing. It's good to see that airplane flying in our STOL competition again. All right, Luke Stradland bringing in that big, beautiful big Rebel in for landing. And from the left, I believe this is Trevor Walsh, if I'm not mistaken. He flies a 1954 PA-18. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up our afternoon of practice sessions, I want to remind everybody to come and enjoy the competition tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. We're going to be live on YouTube and also on Facebook as well. So please join us either online or in person tomorrow for some more action. Now, tomorrow's going to be a little bit different than today. Today has been a practice session. So today, none of the scores have counted. In fact, we're not even really keeping score, but it's really an opportunity for the pilots to get out here and practice in the conditions that they're going to be competing in tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to see a lot more closely matched competition. We're going to see similar airplanes grouped up together, where today it was more of a free-for-all, all the different classes flying together. So the different classes tomorrow are actually going to fly together. And this is one of those competitors that are going to be flying tomorrow. This is William Meacham in the rookie class. He's going to be competing against the Cessnas in the rookie class, and so I expect him to have a great day tomorrow. Flying that Rans S7, he's definitely got the weight advantage in that rookie class against the heavier 182s and the 206. So really excited to see him compete tomorrow. And then this other aircraft coming in is another light aircraft that's going to compete tomorrow in our sport class. And now this is Joel Milloway flying another Rans S7. Now watch the difference in a seasoned competitor in Joel coming in for a landing now versus our rookie who just came in for a landing moments ago in the yellow aircraft. It's a quite a big difference. And let's not forget our future events just coming up in a couple of weeks in Nashville, just outside of Nashville, our Music City STOL event. That's going to be very exciting. And then in a month or so beyond that, we're going to be in Texas again for the grand finale event at Lone Star STOL. Beautiful landing there from Joel. Absolutely great practice session today. We're seeing a lot of pilots get their distances reduced dramatically. It's important to get those skills. Thank you very much for joining us on the live presentation today and in person. My name is Corey Robin on behalf of National STOL. This has been such a fantastic event. There's everybody in the booth. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain Time for more STOL action.
This is event. I vowed I would never compete. I'm like, it's not for me. And I still say I'm not competing. I'm in the rookie class, just the most laid back class. There's no regulation on what kind of plane you have or anything else.
So the touring class, it used to be just touring airplanes, and now that we've switched around the classes, because the 170Bs would always win, so they ended up putting us in the Bush class, which it's a touring airplane, and the word has it, Austin Clemens isn't coming, because the Super 170's in his class.
2 170s, tough battle, but Husky will win at the end of the day.
My name is Justin Tisdale. I'm flying a Zenith 750, flying in the Spark class. My dad and I would always go to events and things like that, and I would always look up and just see people flying. And for me, it was something that I dreamed of doing. It's something that he dreamed of doing. We grew up like kind of poorish, and he was a cop and couldn't really afford to do that kind of stuff. So after I got out of the military, I started looking at aviation. I was like, man, I think I could do that. Wound up completing that dream of his and mine to become a pilot. And anyone can do it. I know if I can do it, other people can do it.
He pushes me and I push him, and same with Hal. We're challenging each other. Everyone's like, whoa, this is gonna be close.
I have beat him, but not often. I gotta be really on my game, and he's gotta be off his a little bit.